Evening, everybody. I will call to order the November 12th, 2025 Planning Board meeting. If you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, to start out, it looks like Ann and Jeff are not here. I will nominate Steve and Ryan to vote for them.
Steve for Jeff.
Yep, and Ryan for
Ryan
Ann.
for Ann.
Correct.
Okay. So that gives us 9 voting members, Mr. Chair.
Fantastic.
Conduct the meeting.
Mr. Rugg, we don't have any minutes tonight, correct?
No minutes.
Fantastic. All right, regional impact determinations
None this evening, Mr. Chair.
and discussion with town staff.
I'm all set this evening.
All set.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right, we're going to get right into it. We're going to go to old business first. Conceptual discussion at 44 Pillsbury Road, map 10, lot 15, zone Woodmont Commons, PUD, and AR1. Pillsbury Realty Development, LLC is the owner, and Procopio is the applicant. If you folks want to come on up. We don't have anything to do on this one, board, because it's a conceptual discussion. So, gentlemen, floor's yours.
Thank you.
Will, you should have a clicker up there.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yep.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
You need help
You can
setting
give the
that
intros if you want. I can
up? Okay. Should
set
see,
this up ahead of time.
You're all good, my man. Don't worry about it. There's a lot of things I should have done ahead of time I didn't get to.
It'll come. Don't worry.
Go ahead, sir.
good to see you all again. Appreciate your time tonight. My name's Will Nuccio. I'm here on behalf of Procopio Companies. We've been in front of you a couple times and a couple more coming up with 36, 44, and then 15. With me tonight is Ben Zoller from VHB. He's our engineer for the project, civil engineer. And then our attorney, Laura Gandia from Divine Millimet. So we've gone pretty extensively. We've gone pretty extensively over 36 Pillsbury. That will be submitted tomorrow for final site plan in December. But this is 44 Pillsbury. This is the dogleg that's to the west of 36 Pillsbury. We had initially come in here a couple months ago, and we had done a conceptual on this and the south of Pillsbury 15. But over the last couple of months, we have updated that. So we figured we'd come back in as we're going to present it. So that's the property. Looking south from the north, the two red areas is 44 and 15. And then just so everyone has an idea of 44 is the orange area and 36 was the area on the right side that we've talked about a few times that already has a compliance alternative for it. So in the PUD, going back a little. In the PUD, 44 Pillsbury is made up of WCs 7 and 8, and this is the initial example from the PUD of 2013, just so you get an idea of it. WC7 was two-way streets, you know, the neighborhood feel. It was the exterior perimeter of this WC, or of 44 Pillsbury, and then residential, it was originally in the PUD with 24 units. Where in the middle section was WC8, which is sort of the same neighborhood, two-way street, and we'll go through the compliance alternative after this session. On the right here is our conceptual plan at this point that is in for design review, the first round. This is 62 houses, looking to have the same neighborhood feel. We would have a two-way street. If we go back a little bit, sorry to jump around for the intent of this is that there is going to be one main entrance off of Pillsbury Road, which you can see on the bottom of the page. 44 is a separate site plan, but the intent is that it's going as a pod, and that's what we had done previously. There's 6 pods in 36 Pillsbury. Though 44 is going to be a for sale portion, we want it to feel connected to the 36, and it's just an additional pod to it. So we'll keep going here, and that's the intent there. So what are the advantages? For sale components north of Pillsbury. 36 is going to be a bunch of rentals. This is going to be some for sale homeowners. And with a balance of renters and homeowners, we think it will bring a good balance both to Woodmont Commons and to this north of Pillsbury development, which we're calling Thornton Hill. Majority of homes will be 3 bedrooms. They're not going to be mega mansions, and they're also not going to be small. These are going to be, downsizing baby boomers or millennials trying to build, and Gen Z trying to build families. And we'll get into the square footages as we get going here. So we think that the for sale units will complement the rental units. So one of the big things in the PUD from 2013 was the walkability and the community between the north and the south. So in red on this slide, you see all the red lines. Those are all the walking paths or the recreational trails within the 36 Pillsbury. We also have walking paths that connect to 44 Pillsbury. The intent would be that we would have playing fields up in 36. We have an amenity building. We have outdoor courts. We have a dog park. And the recreational trails that the 44 Pillsbury residents could also use 36. And on the south side of the image there, you can see that red line connects to a crosswalk that the residents can then go down to the Woodmont Commons development and vice versa. The Woodmont Commons south of Pillsbury residents can come up and use the recreational trails here. So these are some examples, just some precedents of what our houses are going to look like. So 62 new for sale houses. And trying to get that middle range house, 2,500 to 2,800 square feet is what we're looking at there. They're slightly bigger than the rental houses, but they're not the 3,500, 4,000 square foot houses that you see sometimes in these new developments. And then general feel, exterior palette will be pretty similar to the BTR. That rustic look that we presented to the Heritage Commission for 36 will be in front of them next week, and it will be a very similar exterior design. Some street views, just so you can see them. Laura will talk about the in the compliance alternative, trying to make that country road feel. Not too built up, country route style drainage. So you see a lot of that here, and you get the feel of it. And then our precedents that are similar to this, and what we're basing them off of. Procopio, our company actually has a job in Wyndham. It's 64 condo townhouses. These are attached 2 units. These will obviously be single up in Londonderry, but with a central amenity building. So those have been going pretty well for us. And there's another one in Hudson, which is very similar to this, which is Massey Circle, which has a similar density to this. So did want to touch on 15 Pillsbury because first time we had come here for the conceptual plan, we had looked at having houses up on 44 and houses down on 15. As of right now, we're looking to do nothing down there. We've reached our density requirements between us and Pillsbury Realty. So as of right now, we'll have walking paths down there. There is a walking path there that we walked this morning that connects the Catesby to 44 and 36. We wouldn't put any density there, so we would still look to talk to you guys about what would actually happen there. But it would not be additional houses.
With the subdivision that we're presenting tomorrow, it's notable that we would keep the same use. Currently, the site is listed as vacant, and we would maintain vacant use. In order to do that, there are regulations that speak to a minimum lot size of 10 acres. The subdivision would hold 10 acres for that property in an effort to maintain its current use.
All right. I will, Laura, do you have anything, or are you?
I'm here for the second topic.
Okay. All right. I'll start with John and Kelly, and then I'll come to the board.
Yeah, just one comment. Right on that slide there, again, you're showing the 36, bear with me. Yeah, the 36, those are all rental units. So you have control over all the red lines as shown on 36.
Yep.
On 44, those are condos, single-family condos.
Correct.
So where you're showing those lines, where is those lines? In common land?
Correct.
The only reason why I'm saying that is, as the board is well aware, everybody and their brother comes in showing that they're gonna have walking paths through residential developments like this, and then it never happens because nobody wants that in their backyard. So just be aware of that, and how do they maintain that? So that's my only comment right now.
Kelly?
Sure. So I'm just gonna take a minute to talk about traffic, because I think that's always on everyone's mind. So I think it's clear that we need a comprehensive traffic impact study that evaluates the cumulative impacts from both Woodmont Commons and the Procopio projects. So I'm not just talking about Procopio in this instance, I'm talking about both. Specifically with respect to Pillsbury and Gilchrist and Pillsbury and Hardy intersections. So we really need to identify those necessary infrastructure improvements. So, as this board is already aware, the town manager has noted that to both Woodmont and Procopio, that the expectation is the town will be coordinating an initial meeting with our third-party consultant to review some baseline traffic data that was established prior to the Woodmont development, and then comparing it to current conditions. From there, we'll determine the projected impacts of the continued Woodmont build-out, as well as this Procopio project. And our goal is to identify comprehensive intersection improvements and address the congestion and safety within those intersections I just pointed out. And that both Woodmont and Procopio will bear their proportional costs for the said improvements. So the reason I bring this up in this forum is because this board has the authority to impose those requirements, both by way of our site plan regulations and statutory requirements. So as I said, the town is going to be having some initial meetings about traffic internally. Then we will be meeting with both Woodmont and Procopio to review next steps and expectations. But I thought it would be appropriate to bring it up again to the board and to the public at this stage to make clear that that is the expectation from staff at this point, is to proceed in that manner with respect to traffic.
Thank you. Kristen, you got anything? Good? All right. Start with the board. Anybody have any input?
I think, as Kelly had mentioned, traffic is going to be the biggest problem, because I hear plenty of complaints about Pillsbury and then the intersection with, Hardy and everything, because that's kind of confusing, I think, especially people that are new in town. But I think it needs traffic lights now. That's my own layman's opinion.
I just want to say, I live in one of the neighborhoods that fought the walking trails because it was going through people's backyards, like John said. I personally would like to see, if we're going to do walking trail, like make it a rail trail or sidewalk or something so that, and not go through people's yards, because you buy a house, it sounds good until somebody's walking through, and let's face it, people come from different neighborhoods to go for trails. Like a lot of people go to Litchfield for the trails or other places within town, and people will end up in their neighborhoods and end up at backyards. So I share that concern with John. I don't know how to fix it, but I just know that that is going to be an issue.
One idea with the rail trails, I think if the trails go in before the houses do, then the individual buying that house has a choice of if the trail is too close. But I think the trails are going to be away from the housing a little bit, so some privacy and safety.
Well,
Can I speak to the walking trails?
to that
1 minute.
point, maybe it's not trail system, because I agree. It's like, and not only you have that, you have the maintenance issue of the trails. I mean, you have trees falling down on any windy day and what have you. But maybe it would make more sense to like provide access, because the rail trails aren't that far away from this. Maybe it'd make more sense to seclude, peel out an area that you could park at to then access the rail trails that are over in Derry or something to that effect.
One of these trails is actually going through someone's house, so
Yeah.
that'll be
As opposed-
interesting.
As opposed to doing it walking trail system throughout the community that everybody's gonna get upset about, and nobody's gonna maintain, and what have you. Maybe you can tie in this whole concept so you could access the actual official rail trail that's.
The
out
other
there.
thing that needs to be considered, talking about the trails, is that realistically, there are 200 apartments right across the street from this, that people are going to cross Pillsbury to use these trails. Right? Like, I mean, you can say that this is for these two, but if you're living in an apartment and you want to go for a walk, you're going to cross Pillsbury and you're going to go on these trails. So people
That's the
are going to
intent of
lose
it.
their minds when there's 1,000 people or whatever crossing the street to walk on their trails. I endorse the idea of walking trails and the green space and everything. I think realistically, that's what you're looking at.
I'll let you had a question on trails, and then Sean, I'll get to you.
Just something to note, I'd like to talk a little bit about the history of the walking trails and, the previous plans that we've looked at internally, externally, through design review. It's important to note that these paths have evolved quite a bit in the past year that we've been working on the project. We were previously showing, a connection into a neighboring residential area. There were other walking paths that we were proposing that we've since removed. There are many different iterations that we've gone through. We can look at the paths that we have laid out now. They're more centralized on the 36 site, meaning that they're not necessarily at the extents of the site or near the property line, but more centralized. And the thought with that was that, we could create a bit of an internal loop. So if someone, wanted to come for a walk or a jog or whatever the case may be, they would do it primarily within the 44 and 36 Pillsbury property rather than, interconnecting into certain residences and certain neighborhoods that, have objected to it in the past. So there's certainly been an evolution of the design there.
You have an example of a development you did that has walking trails that are like this, that are literally like the one across on 44 Pillsbury, like it squeezes between like two houses. Like you have another one that we can go look at, maybe in one of the Hudson ones or the Wyndham, the ones you showed us, or.
We can definitely find one. There was one in Concord, Mass. That has walking trails in front of it. So we can get
In
that
front of it,
first.
yeah, but this is a lot of people. It's the problem is behind it, and that's usually the problem that people have when people are walking through their backyard. Their kids are playing out back, and now some strangers there just trying to be nice, saying hi, and that would be my concern. In fact, I know you try. I see what you tried to do. You tried to make it kind of a community go in. I mean, I almost think it should go around it, not through it. Like you're literally going through people's backyards.
It's a point well taken. We'll study that. And-
And maybe find another development in the area, like you said, Concord, Mass. That's quite a hike, but maybe something in New Hampshire that's worked out, and maybe we can take some concepts of them. I just see this coming right back to us from the residents that live there. Once they're in, they got their house and everything, and these problems, and they're like, get rid of the walking trails, and then that defeated the purpose of putting them in the first place, and you spent all their expenses, and nobody uses it or they don't like it.
No, I appreciate the feedback. So we'll restudy that one for sure.
I do.
Good evening, David Roach. I'm with the development team as well. One thing I think is just worth noting here is that the structure of this will be an association between the condo for these for sale houses and the overall 250 rental units that will really govern and manage. So there's going to be an overall agreement for both maintenance, because there's a mutual interest between the two of maintaining these paths. This is going to be a way for those for sale houses to get to the rental property where they will have rights and access to the amenities like the pool and things that are there. So there's going to be some trade-offs there that they're not, the overall responsibility for management of these trails will lie with the rental property, because they'll be really the manager of the whole association. So I just think it's a little bit different only because of the two different uses, but the point is still well taken that it will be a concern for you, but they're ultimately going to be responsible to, they're going to be part of an association that they're going to have to meet with, and if they have any issues, they'd have to take it up with them.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, I am on a condo board for my condo in Florida, and it's the same type of thing. But people walk behind someone's lanai, and the kids out there, people get all upset. Even though it's common property.
The concern is understood, and I think the point I'm getting across is the first complaint's going to be to the professional property manager there.
Right.
And I think it's a valid concern that we should address with the site.
Yeah, and we know the Woodmont is gonna be growing, and so if we can figure this out for, the first of many subdivisions, then maybe we can take that idea and keep going with it. And if people wanna buy in one of the other subdivisions, you can say, well, look at the walking trails at this subdivision over here, it's gonna be the same. But I think we just gotta figure out the right way to do that, so that you keep everybody happy.
And I think that one of the things that with that trail that's going through,
Yeah, give 'em
what you're calling the
We're gonna stop.
backyards, the way we looked at the front yards, is the architecture and the design of these was intended to have actually the common space between them oriented like a front door. So the thought being is that community and people going through there wasn't such a bad thing. I think in execution with that for sale piece where it's a little tighter together, probably, you're correct that we probably should look at that a little bit harder as where that path is, so we'll definitely address it.
Thank you, David. Are you good?
I'm good, yeah.
Sean?
I just wanted to say personally, not even just the intersection, I'm almost like to see some road improvements here just because of the amount of units in here, because that road almost needs to be widened at that point at some degree. So that's just something that stands out to me.
Giovanni?
I was just gonna say, is the developer thinking that, like, the trail, I know we focused our whole conversation on this trail system, but are you putting those forward because you think it's what the community wants? Or are you putting them forward because it's what you want?
So in the original PUD, it showed public access walking trails or recreational trails through the middle of it. And that's what it seems that the community wanted, especially talking to some of the residents around in the area. So this is to, follow the PUD as close as we could.
I would also say, to be clear, with 250 rental apartments, and what we think is that.
David, I just want to take you and sit you right next to Kristen, because I think you're going to be talking a bit.
Fair enough. Thank you. I would just also want to clarify that the expectation was that this is an amenity to them. That central section of the property with the beautiful birch trees that are through is a great place to walk through. So it started with also an amenity to the apartments themselves. And to Will's point, we do think there's an interest of people to be able to go through the property. They didn't want, though, it to connect to the point right next to and behind their backyards.
The only other thing,
I
I'm
was just
sorry,
gonna
Jake, yeah,
follow up
one
on
other
that.
thing though too is, David, the palette for the roadways, though, in the residential areas was to have sidewalks.
And that is understood, and we believe that for these groups with their clusters of homes, to have the way to get through the development from one place to another on a walking trail through nature was better than them walking down the side of the road, which when cars are driving by is, relatively uncomfortable, and people tend to prefer walking trails to walking along the side of a road. So that was the idea here, was that to make it a more natural.
John,
type
what would be
of-
our width requirement?
So
on
the
ro- on the road?
overall PUD showed a sidewalk. That's
Yeah.
my point.
What's our, what would be the width requirement on the road? 26 feet, 28 feet?
If this was a town road, it would be 28 feet.
28 feet. What are you guys doing in here for a road?
We have sections of 28-foot wide road, as well as sections of 24-foot wide road.
Curbs on both sides?
We have Cape Cod berm currently proposed along certain sections, and then other sections, the cluster roads, for example, no curb currently shown.
I'll come back to that. Before I start talking, I think somebody, Jason.
We're beating you up over the trails, right? But I think one of the things that everyone needs to keep in mind is when you first came to us with this, we overall liked it because the alternative was 200 single-family houses on one acre lots with, so, and the preservation of green space and that sort of thing. So overall, there's a lot of green space, there's a lot of open space, there are trails and stuff. I think you just have to be cognizant of how they're laid out and what your audience is actually gonna look like for using these trails in this open space. Cause it will be open to people. People will stop and go, and like I said, the people across the street will visit it. So I think you have to keep that in mind.
And that's our intent. South of Pillsbury, they have these sidewalks, and our hope and our thought, based on talking to Pillsbury Realty, is that this is the natural part of the Woodmont Commons development, and people from south of Pillsbury can come up here and use these trail systems so they can be in nature, because it's pretty spectacular up there. I'm sure you guys have all been up there, but there's some really nice views up there. So.
Speaking on the perspective of the residents that would be living here as well, we wanted the walking trails to serve another function, and that function would be allowing people to get to their unit up to the amenity building. So not necessarily people just going for a walk, but people wanting to go up to the amenity building or to go and use the soccer field. Our thought there was, taking cars off of the internal road network that we're proposing and give them the ability to walk. Certain units are a pretty decent distance away. The parcel's 94 acres currently. So getting into a car to have to go up to the amenity building versus, it's a pleasant day, being able to walk to the amenity building, we thought was a very nice feature that we wanted to offer.
I agree with the one you did on the right-hand side with the rental units. That's definitely done much better. It's away from houses, at least the top piece is, and then you kind of go through the middle of two of them, again, is fine, but then you start going into people's backyards again, and that's where I've seen issues. So I guess my final comment would be, if you can avoid people's backyards, I think that everybody's going to have less of an issue.
It's a good point, and I'd like to acknowledge that our council advised us that might be a concern. So I want to give her credit for being ahead of that, and we should probably listen to her a little more.
All right, couple questions. We'll start on the slide that Kelly's on, 15 Pillsbury Road, subdivision forthcoming. I know you already talked about it, but can we talk about it a bit more, what your plans are here?
For 15?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there will be no density there. What I didn't have on this slideshow, there'll be walking trails down there. I'm sure you've all seen it if you live in town. There's apple trees down there. The apple trees aren't in great shape, especially down there. So if we had to put some soil there, we obviously have to work through that with John and Kelly and AOT permits and all of that. In regards to us right now, we'll need to subdivide that so we can buy it from Pillsbury. And then as we work through traffic and all of those aspects of the whole Thornhill development, we'll have to represent to you guys what we're thinking there, but there will not be additional units there because we don't have any further density.
Yeah, just to be clear, is that we're not asking for any housing there, and we'll agree that there being no housing on that side.
Okay. Kelly, can you jump to slide 7?
You can tell me when, because I don't have numbers.
Keep going. Right there. All right, talk to me about this one. We've got 24 units crossed out and 62 added in. Help me work through going from 24 to 62.
This is just taken, and I apologize for the confusion here. This was taken from the PUD, trying to show WC 7 and 8. It's very clear and nicely done here of two-way street. That's what we're trying to do. That's part of both of those subsections. It is going to be a neighborhood. It will be single-family detached. And then we were going through this. That specific, I believe it's WC 7, shows 24 houses, but based on our density there, just for clarity of this meeting, it's going to be 62 there. Okay. And obviously, this is split up into the perimeter being WC 7, the middle of it being WC 8. So that was just so everyone knew it was 62, and we didn't have conflicting numbers on this presentation.
Okay. On this whole pathway thing going through the development, I do think it's kind of hodgepodge together. I think you'd be better off. And I feel like if you had a nice wide roadway there that people could walk on easily and not have a 24 or 28-foot roadway, maybe do like a 30-foot road.
For this piece, just to be specific?
Correct. Whereas, obviously, this is tight to throw some sort of walking path in. Let's get it in front of people's houses by making the road wider, right? Make it feel more walkable. Then we're not adding sidewalks. I do think sidewalks take away a little bit from that, how this is going to feel up there, but let's make the road wider so people can walk on it comfortably and not feel like they're going to get hit by a car. I think would be a good alternate to that.
Can I just add to that point? I think that anytime you do something like that where roads intended to be walked on, I think there should be some type of striping or something so that it shows that it's a walking/bike path. Otherwise, you have people arguing, get out of the road.
Start calling you Mayor Wu.
Yeah.
Where you putting the next bike?
Right.
I think this area is much different
Yeah.
than the remainder because it is a dead-end loop. So I do think that that kind of treatment functionally is a good idea. And
Yeah.
I think we'll
Um,
take that to.
looking at the picture as a whole, you know, you've got the rental side of things. We all love what you did with the rental side of things. You've got smaller homes in here that'll hopefully be a little bit more affordable from a rental standpoint. They're broken up nicely where we're able to leave a lot of green space as opposed to just putting stuff on 1 acre lots that was originally planned. I like the concept of the development on this next part here, 44 Pillsbury. I don't love the size of the houses. You know, I was kind of under the impression when we saw this, we would be seeing homes very similar to what is inside of the rental area, which are really more like 12 to 1,400 square foot homes, I feel like, which again is creating affordability. I don't know that 60-something, 2,400, 2,500, 2,800 square foot homes are necessarily affordable. So I don't love that. I think that that's certainly not what I had anticipated here. I do like the concept of leaving the south end of the road alone. I think you guys have some work to do over there that you could bring a pretty good benefit to the community in an area that you're gonna leave green and find a way to make that useful, not just for the residents of this area, but the town of Londonderry as a whole and the people who come and travel Londonderry. I think you have a really good potential to make something very nice there. I'll leave it at that, but I don't love the size of the homes. They feel big. I think you guys would be better off, again, from a roadway standpoint, and I'm just one person, or a pathway, I think you'd be better off, let's just make the road wider, and kind of cut the path out of there for that one section to just make it feel bigger and easier for people to walk around, you know?
Can I speak to that for 1 minute?
Yeah.
So we made a conscious decision to go with 24 foot. And part of the reason for that was our planner, UTL. They have done some studies where when you have actually narrower roads, like we have here, people tend to go slightly slower, where if you have a 30-foot, 40-foot wide road, people tend to have all the space in the world, and they come flying around the boulevards, especially something like this. So I just want to say that is why we proposed 24 foot, and we'll have it posted everywhere that this is a 20 mile per hour speed limit. That's kind of the intent. The tighter it feels, it's a community neighborhood. People tend to go slightly slower, and they're seeing that throughout other parts of the country. So that's the only reason why we landed where we were.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I can absolutely understand that, right? The tighter anything is, the slower you're gonna go. I think that I would really consider making that a wider road.
I think the difference here, Will, from the remainder of the development, as I pointed out, is that this is a dead-end loop.
Yeah,
only
it's
gonna
not
be the
really something
who
people are
live.
coming
So I
through.
think
You're in there to be there.
treating this differently, because it's a different condition than everywhere else in the development, could work.
Yeah, the people on this road are going to know the people driving on this road.
Which you're gonna-
So if somebody's flying down that road, they're
Well-
gonna know where that person lives.
I'd also say it's a good thing in this particular scenario, especially these houses are larger, but they would more likely have guest vehicles and things of that nature. When you get to the point where at 28 feet, you're going to now end up with people parking along the sides at times too during the day, which actually is a good thing for slowing people down. This is going to feel more like your typical low traffic subdivision here for people to
John,
walk
what's the
through.
width on Catsby Lane?
Don't know off the top of my head.
That's probably 24, 26 feet.
Yeah, it might be 24. But again, with the sidewalks.
24 with sidewalks, that's tough. And granted, that's a curb as opposed to asphalt, that's an actual granite curb.
But our,
I mean,
yeah, and our requirement is vertical granite with
Yeah.
sidewalks.
yeah. When there is a sidewalk.
Correct.
Correct, yeah. It's tight. 24 feet is like, you put one car there and it's tight. So I'd really consider looking at a wider roadway option, and getting rid of that path that's kind of going through the back of people's yards.
I think we noted.
Does the board have anything else?
Can I add something?
Yeah.
There was other sets of constraints that we were working at in regards to the crossing, where 44 comes into 36. We have an extensive wetland network on the 36 Pillsbury property that leads into an intermittent stream that's established right there pretty much along the property line. It proceeds south and then eventually into the pond via culvert across Pillsbury Road. So we have a state permit in right now with the DES for a standard dredge and fill permit, and it speaks to the impacts for crossings that we would have, pedestrian crossings and also roadway crossings in the wetlands, as well as one that we're looking at right now, a crossing of the intermittent stream. That's what our wetland scientists determined it to be, an intermittent stream, a stream that isn't wet year-round but only occasionally carries water. We were told to get our impact numbers down. So we tried to make that crossing as lean as possible with a 24-foot wide road. We have shoulders shown on either side along with the guardrail. That's currently what we're looking at.
Where is that on this plan?
It's right here. Right here.
The connection
so it's-
between
it's just at the
44,
old- yeah,
just at
yeah,
that
Yep.
pinch point.
Right. So it's the connection between the two properties. If we were to have a larger section of road throughout 44, there would ultimately have to be some type of a taper down to get over the crossing.
Just fine.
So we had, a variety of constraints we were trying to work with there.
Yep, and that's fine. And that staying constrained there would also support slowing traffic down before it gets into the,
But at that point, that's where we could split it off to the trail again.
yeah. So, anything else from the board? All right. John, Kelly?
I'm all set.
All right, folks. Anything for us?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate the feedback.
Thanks.
All right, let me see here. Moving on, we have a public hearing on a compliance alternative request at 44 Pillsbury Road, map 10, lot 15, zone Woodmont Commons, PUD 1 and AR, PUD-I and AR1. Pillsbury Realty Development LLC is the owner. Procopio is the applicant, and this was continued from November 5th. Let me just get some stuff up here. So before we get started, Kelly, is it all in one packet here?
Everything is
Oh,
in.
no, I have it right here. Thank you. Before we get started, we do have to check this for completeness. It looks like there are no outstanding checklist items. I will take a motion to accept the application as complete.
So moved.
I have a motion from Art. I have a second from Ryan. All in favor, starting with Giovanni, please.
Giovanni Baroni, aye.
Ryan Willett, aye.
Len Wiles, aye. Arthur Rugg, aye.
Steve Pickford, aye. Jason Knight's aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. All right, Kelly, John, before they get going, is there anything you want to start out with?
So this is all Kelly's.
Just as a reminder for the board, the Woodmont Commons PUD allows for this process, that being the compliance alternative process. It essentially outlines 6 principles, if you will, that you should utilize to evaluate this after it is presented for you by the applicant. That's all I have.
All right. I will start with you folks. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Laura Gandia. I'm an attorney at Divine, Millimet, and Branch here representing the applicant Procopio Companies. The Procopio team did an excellent job of explaining the project and how it fits in with the surrounding area, particularly 36 Pillsbury and the PUD intent of connectivity. As you are aware, we are here before you seeking a compliance alternative very similar to what was requested for 36 Pillsbury, and that was almost a year ago. As with 36 Pillsbury, we believe that a compliance alternative is the appropriate mechanism to achieve the development goals of Procopio's project while utilizing the PUD's flexibility and phasing. I'm going to apologize in advance. We do have the 5 criteria, then we have another additional 5 criteria that I have to go through, so
That's fine.
I'll be doing a lot of speaking. That's just a lot of standards that we have to go through. So, As this board is aware, one of the purposes of the PUD is to create a process that allows owners to propose projects largely independent from the current land use regulations. The PUD goals of creativity facilitate choice among citizens as to where and how they want to live, while establishing a framework that will deliver a walkable environment comprised of a variety of uses and building types. The property, 44 Pillsbury, is zoned AR1 and Woodmont Commons PUD, and it boasts about 23 acres of vacant land formerly operated as an apple orchard. The property owned by Pillsbury Realty Development is part of the 2013 master plan, consisting of WC subareas 7 and 8. The applicant seeks to develop the property as a condominium association with 62 single-family units, which requires a compliance alternative for the block and lot type, because there's nothing in the PUD that specifically mentions condominiums, so we will need relief from that block and lot type. And also, we're seeking relief from the internal roadway system that's going to connect to 36 Pillsbury Road. The development will consist of 13 acres of common area, with the majority of that being open space, and with the closest home from Gilcrest Road being 275 feet, and from Pillsbury Road approximately 273 feet. So for compliance alternative, as this board is aware, when the PUD was created, it was recognized that the need for flexibility and ideas that were not envisioned at the time of its adoption, there needed to be a mechanism to allow those ideas to flourish. The PUD spoke directly to that on page 45 of the PUD, and it stated, in some cases, the underlying public purposes may be accomplished as well or better through alternative design and development approaches that have not been envisioned within the range of the PUD regulations and standards within this document. So those planning and design criteria that town staff mentioned are as follows. We have 5 of those. They are aesthetically attractive features. That's the first one. The second is connected walkable neighborhoods. The third is quality site design. The fourth is quality architectural design, and the fifth is potential impacts and mitigation needs. And the PUD further goes on to state that the PUD master plan provides special PUD regulations and standards to implement town goals for the area through a series of planning and design principles that are defined in section 2.13, planning and design principles, conformance with the PUD master plan, and in particular with section 2.0 of the PUD regulations and standards, establishes entitlements to undertake projects and improvements. Under the PUD subdivision and/or PUD site plan review, the planning board and the applicant may mutually agree to an alternative method or standard that meets section 2.13 planning and design principles to the same degree or better. This may be accomplished without amending the PUD master plan if the applicant documents and the planning board approves a compliance alternative, and then it gives an additional 4 things for the board to consider. And that's the compliance alternative must accomplish the relative planning and design principles. Documentation must indicate the specific proposed alternative method or standard that will be used. The third is why section 2.0 of the PUD regulations and standards are not applicable to the application. And the fourth is how the project is fully compliant with the intent of the PUD master plan. And we understand that this is discretionary, but the PUD also says that it shall not be unreasonably withheld if the applicant has provided sufficient documentation to justify such request. So that's our basic framework that we're working within. I know that's a lot, so that's a lot of standards, so that's a lot of language that we need to go through. And again, our 2 requests or our 2 alternative standards that we're looking for is the block lot type and our road design. So for the block lot type, nowhere in the PUD are condominium projects discussed. Therefore, the project as presented does not fit into any of the current block types outlined in section 2.3.2. The Woodmont Commons PUD permits 5 block types: village center, neighborhood, flex, perimeter, and perimeter neighborhood. The only block type in all of the sub-areas for 36 Pillsbury is the neighborhood block type. However, This block type envisions the creation of lots within it, as do all other block types. The project, as proposed, does not consist of individual lots. This is very similar to the rationale that we presented to the board for 36 Pillsbury. There were no individual lots. This is a condominium, and as this board is aware, there's not individual lots. There's going to be 62 individual dwelling units that have limited common area around the perimeter of each unit, but not individual lots. And that's typical with condominium associations in general. Given that neither the block type nor the lot type are applicable to this project, the following alternative standard is being proposed. So we are asking for what we are calling a condominium master lot. This block type would allow for the creation of a master condominium site plan at 44 Pillsbury for the development of 62 family detached condominium units. There will be no individual lots. However, each lot will enjoy limited common area as well as the common area that's part of the association. Minimum lot sizes are eliminated because there are no lots, and the development consists of one master condominium lot. Separation between each unit will be 15 feet with a front yard setback as allowed for in the single-family lot type of a 10 minimum, 25 maximum, with no other applicable setbacks or standards. The second alternative standard that we're seeking has to do with the road design. The applicable street assembly type for a residential development is a residential street, as defined in section 2.3, the transportation network. The proposed design of these that we are proposing meets some of those, but we are proposing the following standards. And there's been discussion about the pavement width. It is our position that the road design for this particular type of development, the pavement width, as stated on the slide, is 24. We are going with the 24. Some of the other things we are asking to not be obliged to comply with, and those are there. So we're asking for curb type, there would be none. Curb radius, there would be none. The vehicle speed, we are dropping from 15 to 25. The road edge treatment, as VHB previously stated, would be a country-style berm. Then the public frontage, we eliminated some of those, and those are all there for your review. We are asking for the elimination of sidewalks. That is the same for 36 Pillsbury. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create that cohesive network of the internal road design between the two lots. So it's basically mimicking what we asked for 36 that was approved by this board as a compliance alternative about a year ago. And then the analysis goes back to those criteria, and that's what the board is required to look at. The first criteria for these two requests that we are seeking is aesthetically attractive features. And this is how it is described in the PUD. The features of the PUD subdivision and/or PUD site plan will enhance the aesthetics of the Woodmont Commons PUD as viewed from publicly accessible roads, streets, paths, open space within or adjacent to the PUD. So that's our first standard that we need to review for the compliance alternative. Our position is the proposed compliance alternative enhances the aesthetics of the Woodmont Common PUD as viewed publicly from Pillsbury Road and surrounding and adjacent roads within or adjacent to the PUD. As I stated earlier, the closest house from Pillsbury and or Gilcrest is right around, I think one was 273 feet, the other was 275 feet. So you're going to have a nice rural feel based on that corner, where the corner lot is. It's going to be maintained in a vegetative state, so you're not going to be seeing houses no closer than about 270 feet. Again, one's 273, one's 275. The proposed condominium provides for acres of green space. I mentioned before, 13 acres of open space or green space that will be provided as part of the common area. The aesthetics of the condominium units and the site layout for more open actually has more open space than what was initially envisioned, while complementing the proposed cottage court style at 36 Pillsbury Road. And again, we really want these to kind of all blend together. And I know Will mentioned initially, like, This is basically an additional cluster in this whole development. The people at 44 are going to be sharing the amenity buildings with the residents at 36. So we really want that cohesive feel. We want the roadways design to be similar. We want everything to flow a certain way, as well as the aesthetics. And again, this board was very pleased with the information that we presented for 36. The Heritage Commission loved what we did with 36, and we envisioned the same type of aesthetic feel for 44. The concept is aesthetically pleasing as viewed from publicly accessible roads, as the layout of the houses in the significant open space creates a rural feel, as the layout of the houses provide for significant open space. The alternative road design complements the proposed cottage court development while providing for more open green space. The second criteria is the connected walkable neighborhoods. Again, we've talked about it earlier. I'll mention it quickly again. That's part of what's envisioned for the PUD. That's what the PUD wanted. That's what town residents want. So that's what we're trying to do again here. That's described in the PUD as the characteristics of the improvements or the development will contribute to a walkable community that is linked to other portions of Woodmont Common PUD or publicly accessible pedestrian routes adjacent to the PUD. So next door to the development, which is 36, is an array of recreational trails to be utilized by the residents of 44, contributing to a walkable community, while the design of the proposed roadways and trail systems create another opportunity for the residents to connect. This concept is part of the overall walkable design concept inherent in the PUD. These trails are intended to connect with the proposed trail system starting at Catesby's Lane. As this board is aware, when the Catesby Lane project was implemented, there was a trail system that went along Duck Pond, along the backside of Catesby Lane, that's supposed to come through 15 and up along Pillsbury Way and connect to where Michael's Way is. And this is all part of that whole interconnectivity between all these different portions. The alternative road design standards complement the proposed roadways again at 36, providing for more green space while allowing residents access to common shared open space. The quality site design is the third criteria, and that's described as the site design will provide public benefits in terms of sustainable use of resources, visual quality from public vantage points, and complementary relationships to adjacent land or development. The project and the site design yield significant public benefits by providing and promoting sustainable use of resources, by maximizing open space and green space, enhancing visual quality of vantage points, offering an opportunity to enjoy recreational trails, set back a distance from the public right-of-way, and complement the adjacent residential uses, providing a residential base for existing and upcoming commercial development. The project amplifies a Londonderry rural feel by conserving significantly more concentrated open space than what the PUD originally envisioned. If you look at the diagrams that was previously presented to you, it actually showed houses going all the way down to Pillsbury with access from Pillsbury into 44. We are not doing that. We're having it connected through 36. The alternative road design standards complement, again, the proposed cottage court development while providing for more open space. The fourth criteria is the quality architectural design, and that's described as design that will follow architectural standards and feature complementary relationships to adjacent land or development as viewed from publicly accessible roads, streets, paths, or open space within or adjacent to the PUD. Our position is that the project design will follow these design standards as provided in the PUD, while again complementing the existing adjacent residential land use as viewed as publicly from multiple vantage points. You had the same developer creating the 36 Pillsbury, and he's going to have a similar feel with the 44. The architectural design incorporates nearby development styles and features on existing homes and provides the opportunity for residents to enjoy and access walkable and recreational trails and publicly accessible open spaces. The alternative road design standards again complement that cottage court style, providing for more open green space while allowing residents access to common open space. The fifth criteria is potential impacts and mitigation needs. That is described in the PUD as the proposed PUD subdivision and site plan will either have no material effect on potential municipal impacts or will reduce such impacts. Associated mitigation requirements will employ the PUD master plan regulations and standards. The proposed site will have no material effect on municipal impacts, as the roads are private and will be maintained by the owner. And there also, I know there was concern, there are no wetlands on the property. So in addition to those 5 standards, the PUD has another level of analysis that we need to discuss, and that is compliance, the compliance alternative request documented in the specific proposed alternative methods or standards that will be used. So section 2.0 of the PUD regulations and standards are not applicable to the application because none of the block lot types fit the design concept of a condominium. So there's nothing in the PUD master plan that allows us to have what we're asking for, one master lot for a condominium. Again, similar to the request that we asked for 36, and that was granted last year. And the alternative road designs fit within the proposed design concepts. As this board is aware, there's been some other condominium developments, Hickory Woods and Cross Farm, where the requirement for sidewalks were eliminated as well. So that's typical when you're having a condominium, where there's amenity buildings, the sidewalks have been eliminated by this board in the past, and we are seeking that same design concept. The project is fully compliant with the overall intent of the PUD master plan, as the project envisions a condominium site plan offering the residents the opportunity to access a walkable, friendly, and connected community atmosphere and amenities with an accessible trail system, open space, and preservation of land in subareas designated for residential use. And we also have to mention very quickly the PUD goals, which is part of the analysis for the board. Those goals are to accommodate development in an environmentally responsible manner. The project preserves significantly more open space and green space than what was originally envisioned. Create a development that will, upon completion, facilitate choice among citizens as to where and how they want to live. The condominiums will be for sale, facilitating choice to the residents. Establish a framework for the development that will deliver a walkable environment that compromises a variety of uses and building types. The project, similar to Cassidy Lane, provides residents the opportunity to access and enjoy a walkable community within the recreational trail system located close to varying commercial uses. It should be developed in a manner that is in alignment with the accepted standards and performance for public infrastructures. This project is in alignment. Allows for substantial commercial and mixed-use development to create a positive impact for the town. The project is located close to various mixed and commercial uses, which will act as a base to attract additional commercial uses into the Woodmont Common development, and to create regulations and establish a process that allows flexibility in phasing and in the actual development plan. The compliance alternative mechanism was created by this town to allow flexibility in the development of the plan. So with all of that, the applicant recognizes again that the planning board approval of a compliance alternative is discretionary, but shall not unreasonably withheld if the applicant has provided sufficient documentation to justify its request. We believe that we have provided sufficient documentation justifying our request, and we respectfully seek the board's approval.
All right, I will start with John and Kelly.
Yep, Mr. Chairman, Laura, help me understand this though, just on your lot type. The separation between each unit will be 15 feet with a front yard setback is allowed for in the single-family lot type of 10-foot minimum, 25-foot maximum with no other applicable setbacks or lot standards. So you're saying that these units could be as close as 10 feet from the supposed right-of-way?
That's what's allowed. I'm not saying that. That's what the PUD allows.
Yeah.
So that standard is what's already there. So we're not seeking relief or an alternative standard from that.
Okay,
So that's already there. I was just putting that there so everybody was
Yeah.
clear that that's there. That's not where we're seeking any type of relief from.
yeah, so, but then when I look at the road standards, right, the 56-foot right-of-way width with a 24-foot wide road, so 24 from 56 gives us the, 42? Or, yeah, gives us the, at least on that one, you have on-street parking would be allowed in that particular configuration. So I guess my point being is that if they do go to 10 feet, they can't even fit a car in the driveway, so you're gonna have on-street parking. So I think you just gotta be careful with what that minimum front setback would be.
Kelly, where's this in our thing?
It's, what's on the screen, you mean? It's in their submission, they screen grabbed it, but it's also in the master plan.
And it's page 137 of the PUD master
But
plan.
we don't, is it in our file?
This is in your file.
Which
This-
link is this?
It is. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't think it's in here.
Here, if you go to the website, it's this top link. That might be quicker.
What am I doing?
Glasses.
Planning board agenda.
The document CA-final.
Just for, obviously this is something that's in the PUD, but the houses, the way they're laid out right now, a car can't fit in the driveway before it hits the right of way. And then all the houses do have garages as well, so definitely good to talk about, but the way the houses are laid out right now, the car can fit fully in the driveway.
So if
The
you're going,
10 feet is obviously just what's in the PUD right now.
yeah, so you would be amenable to saying what the minimum front yard setback would be?
The only piece I would have concern about is a lot of these houses, they'll have a living room that's slightly closer to the right of way, but the driveway will be set back so that the car will be able to sit in the driveway without being in the right of way, but the front of the house may be closer to the right of way than
Just
the
put it in
driveway
there.
itself.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
The house plate shifts slightly, so
Right,
it doesn't show the whole picture.
yep, understood. I get it. They need to get it.
Yep.
Right.
Kelly? You got anything?
I stated in my memo that recommending conditional approval of this, the condition obviously being a site plan, would be the next step.
So the approval of this would be contingent on approval of a site plan.
Right, they'd need to,
Yep.
in the, as you just saw before this, that's their intent, but just
Yep.
wanted to note that this needs to be shown on a site plan when they come forward.
All right. I will, I'll start with the board here.
It's better than a bunch of houses.
All right. I'm gonna go to the public
Would we
first.
need to-
I'm gonna go to the public before I,
well, I have a
figure out what I
question
wanna
for
say here.
Kelly,
Yeah.
actually. Would we, and just, is this where we would need to note the traffic?
Not yet.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it wouldn't be at this point.
I know that it's generally referenced in some of the guidelines and principles in those 5 and then 4 criteria, if you will. But at this stage, the compliance alternative doesn't require them to submit a traffic analysis, so it would be unreasonable to try and evaluate that right now.
Okay.
Which is also part of my reasoning for making clear that the condition would be a site plan that would encompass the traffic as the next step.
All right, thank you.
all right. This is a public hearing. I'm gonna start with the public. I'll bring it back to the board and then I'm gonna give you guys a couple comments. I will, Ray, do me a favor, just anybody who's coming to talk, if you could sit next to Kristen where there's an open mic, I would appreciate it.
Might need to move that.
Yeah, you wanna just
Or
take that
to-
down?
To move it. And,
Thank you.
Oh, the podium's against the
Yeah, just
wall.
lean that right up against the front of the, there you go. All right,
Ray Breslin, 3 Gary Drive, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I gotta say, I live on Gary Drive, by the way, and this sort of backs up to me, but I'm more concerned with the other abutters. And I have some neighbors that are very upset about this. I wish they were here this evening. But there's a lot of concerns here. One of them is traffic. We have a lot of traffic problems right now on these roadways, Pillsbury, Gilchrist, Hardy. When I look out in the morning at about 7 o'clock, all I see is traffic. People heading to work. And we're adding more, and we continue to add more. Another concern is buffer between the houses on, particularly on Gary Drive. We have children, this is kind of a quiet little community, and we have children that play in the road all the time. And for the most of that part, they're pretty careful. We do have occasionally somebody go ripping up the street, but we do have some really strong traffic concerns. We also have a wetland crossing here. There's a lot of wetland, and right now we're in a drought, and we're not too worried about streams and water rushing down. But I can tell you, I lived there for a long time, and this is fairly high elevation. And when you have a storm, water comes ripping down, and a lot of times it's washing out part of the roadways. This doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen. Another concern is fire protection. I'm looking at this plan, it's kind of the first time I've kind of seen it. We have a lot of houses, 52, 62, I don't know, a whole bunch. We're having a 24-foot roadway, and if we have a fire in one of those houses, we got to get equipment in there. Another concern is there's got to be utilities. There's got to be sewer, water, gas, maybe, I don't know, maybe they're going to use propane, whatever. And a lot of that is already in the plan. Water is already available there. Sewer is in the process. But there's an awful lot going on here. And from what I understand, these are going to be 3-bedroom homes. And if these people can afford the houses, I don't know how they're going to afford these houses. They're probably going to be, I don't know. They're talking about condos, right? But condos are not cheap either. 3 bedrooms. Some of these people are going to be working people. They're probably going to have children. And that's also another concern. We're not against children, but when we're talking about a burden on the town, a lot of these things create a burden on the town. Fire, police, traffic, schools, DPW, so forth and so on. And is all of this a benefit? Well, some of it's a benefit, but there's a lot of impact too. And we're talking about trails. The trails are a great idea. Personally, I think if Woodmine's going to have trails, maybe they ought to think about having trails along the what we call the Dirt Pond, which is a beautiful area, and maybe people could utilize that and walk along there. I'm not sure this particular thing on 44 is really set up to have trails going through it. The other part, 36, absolutely, that's fine. And by the way, when we're talking about sidewalks, I mean, I've been around here a long time, and back in the day, it was approved to have sidewalks along Pillsbury Road. In other words, where Woodmont is now, which has never taken place. But walking on roads in the town of Londonderry is very dangerous. Riding a bicycle along the roads in Londonderry is very dangerous. Crossing the road, try crossing 102 without getting killed. We're not talking necessarily on 102 here, but we have a lot of concerns. And I think we have to look at all of this and how much of this is all going to be done at once 36, 44, all of this is all going to happen at once. And we're trying to work on a master plan and figure these things out. We're trying to work on traffic issues and figure things out. We have a lot of concerns, and it's not just me talking. There are other people in this town. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate it.
There's no questions?
I don't have any questions right now.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Anybody else?
Bob Mayo, 569 Member Road, Londonderry. One thing I noticed, there was no second access to these, both 15 and 44 Pillsbury. It's just one road going straight in, then it, branches off. Should it be a second, at least, if not, an everyday usable access? Could it be, at least be a second access here, west of the cemetery? It could be used for emergency purposes only, or maybe a full-time access there, where it would, project would go in like this, then you'd have like a place going to, what is it, Hovey Road? What is it? What road am I thinking of?
Hubby.
Yeah, no, you're on Hovey.
Yeah,
You're on
okay.
Hovey.
Yeah, going there west of the cemetery somewhere, have an access point. So if something happens, it doesn't totally block off everybody not being able to get in and out of the rest of the project. Particularly, you got a steep hill going up the road right there where they're proposing to put the road coming off of Pillsbury. It's just a thought.
Can I
Thank you very
speak to that?
much. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Who's next?
Hello, Bob Lees, 21 Kit Lane, been here a few times. Just have a few questions. One, they don't really show the property line as far as from the backyard or the stone wall on Gary Drive to the new property going in on, is that 44 Pillsbury? Trying to find out the property, what do we got for buffer in there, that type of stuff. You've got an old, existing 60-year-old neighborhood that's coming up new. Same thing I argued or talked about with the 36 Pillsbury, the buffer between us and Kit Lane. So that was one question I have. On the map, I didn't see where the pump station was gonna be. I couldn't really see it on that plan that you had there. The pump station, I believe, is somewhere near that road that's going in. Okay, that's two questions.
Yeah.
Third question is, on my old plan, used to have two entrances into that 36, and now one of them has become a walking path by Michael's Way. 300 and some odd houses going in there, one road in and out. Kind of tough, you know? Did we eliminate Michael's Way because we're gonna have to probably put some lights up there? I'm thinking so, you know? And that was it, just the three questions, that was it.
Thank you, Mr. Lees. Anybody else?
Good evening, Deb Paul, 118 Hardy Road. How big are these houses that, what is it, 250 of them that you're doing?
It'd be 250 on 36 and 62 on
So
44.
250 on 36, which is how many acres?
94 is 36, and the other two, 15 and 44, are 36 acres.
Okay, so I'm just going to focus on one at the time, okay? Because I'm just not good with numbers. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to talk to you.
We're toting the line a little bit, Deb.
Okay, well,
I'm
because
trying to let people talk here, but
well,
everybody who's come up's
I
toting
kind
the
of
line
want
a little
to
bit. Hold on,
understand
hold
the
on.
distance.
Hold on. I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying. Everybody who's come up so far has toted the line a little bit in terms of what we are talking about here, which is the compliance alternate. We've all leaned into the site plan a little bit. I'm gonna lean into the site plan a little bit. So let's just
what I'm trying to do, Jake, is trying to understand for myself how it's laid out. I look at these plans sometimes and I like 15 feet to me is, I don't even know how far that is. They're saying that's between the houses. So I'm thinking, are these houses just as close as apartments in East Boston? Like, is that the 15? I'm just trying to understand. And talking about so you were saying at the road 24, where are these cars going to park? And then if you have a party or people over, where are they going to park? And then you get snow, and a fire truck is trying to get down this road, and you've got cars parked on the road with snow, which makes the road smaller. And like somebody just said, if you just have one way in and out, if there's a blockage here, if tree falls or whatever, and then they have no other way to get to the houses in the back. Did this already go to fire, Jake, or anything?
Hold on.
I'm
Again,
sorry.
I'm allowing it, but we're really, you're talking about a site plan. We're
Okay.
right here. I know there is a site plan associated with it. I know we saw a potential site plan for it, right? Everything you're talking about is 100% relative to the site plan.
Okay.
It's not necessarily relative to the compliance alternate, which is what we're discussing.
Could you give me a quick overview of what is the compliance alternate?
So the compliance alternate is what they're talking about here, which they're trying to meet these 5 points to say, you know, okay, do we fall inside of this compliance alternate based off of what they're discussing in this? Everything you're talking is site plan.
Okay, so like the
It's-
walkability thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. We
Okay,
want
I
to talk
just-
about walkability. We got to get off of site plans
And onto walkability.
That's, again, and just from a procedural standpoint.
Okay.
From a procedural standpoint, everything you're saying is incredibly valid when we have our hearing
Okay.
on whatever's going to be here. They
That's
have a
fine. I'll-
conceptual. We got to bring it back a little.
So I apologize, Jake.
All right.
Thank you for explaining to me.
Not a
So the walkability thing, the PUD is supposed to be a walkable thing for everyone. I thought that Woodmont was going to be open to the whole community to walk through. I'd like to know, is this going to be kind of gated, or is the general public, like, so people from Gary or Hovey, can they cut through and walk on these trails to get over to Peabody, or is it going to be
No, I mean,
closed gated?
again, and we're
Is that
really,
not the right thing either?
We're really toting. I know.
I'm
it's
sorry.
tough.
I'm
It's
trying to
tough.
understand this.
We're toting the site plan here, but the idea is that this is walkable and open to the public. If you
Okay, so it is
the only
open to the
time I
public.
don't walk in my own neighborhood is Halloween. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, I hesitate about these things, especially the road width and the sidewalks, having no sidewalks. I saw they took out sidewalks, and I really think that they should have them, and I think that it should be the residents' responsibility in front of their house to take care of their own sidewalks. Like, if you're going to build a city, you should treat it like a city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the public?
Good evening, Kevin Smith, representing Pillsbury Realty, owner of Woodmont Commons. I want to just address the issue of the trails and the walkability from our standpoint and how we look at it. We've been very clear with Procopio that this is to be a walkable community. The entire PUD is set up to be a walkable community, and not just for the residents that live there or the people who are working there or shopping there, but it's for the entire community to enjoy. There is a walking trail, and I'm going to echo probably a lot of the points that Mr. Breslin brought up, but there is a walking trail around Duck Pond. It doesn't go around the entirety of Duck Pond, but you can basically walk it currently from where the new pump station is, the Pennachuck pump station along Michael's Way, all the way around to the subdivision on Gilcrest Road. There is a maintained trail along there that the association maintains. Woodmont Commons, Pillsbury, then maintains that area through the orchard on the corner of Gilcrest and Pillsbury, and then also maintains the area along Michael's Way as well. I'm actually meeting tomorrow morning, kind of timely, with a bunch of residents from the Baldwin who are looking at applying for a grant through AARP to maintain more of a trail network within Woodmont Commons. I can tell you there are a lot of people who are already utilizing the walking paths, whether they're along Michael's Way, whether they're on the sidewalks, maybe not on a day like today, but certainly spring, summer, fall, there are more and more people utilizing the sidewalks around there. And we want, this, what Procopio is proposing is a part of the PUD. We want the people who live there to feel like they can walk across the street and go to the area where the shopping and the restaurants will be. And similarly, to the community that's walking around there, we want them to utilize those paths as well. That area around Duck Pond, it is so naturally beautiful. There's 3 bald eagles that are currently in that area there that have a nest there. And actually, I've talked to Marge too about getting the Conservation Commission involved with that particular area. So very much so, we want to see this to be walkable. I have a lot of trust and faith in both Procopio and the board to figure it out on how best to make that happen with this, with these proposed subdivisions. But that is our view of it, and I just wanted to make that clear on the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anything else from the public?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
so Kelly Karen did receive an email from the general public this morning. I don't know if you want to have that read into.
I know he's here. Do you want to speak, or do you want us to read what you wrote in?
Bob?
Bob,
Yeah, you can read that in.
Okay. So, an email received this morning from Bob McDonald dated November 11th, 2025 at 8:36 a.m. Eastern Time to Kelly Karen. Subject is Planning Board, November 12th. Good morning. I am writing this email regarding the request for 44 Pillsbury Road condominium site plan. I have several concerns. I am happy to see this development is still alive, but very disappointed that the developers are taking so long to move forward. Here are my concerns. Number one, the condition of Pillsbury Road and the traffic that will be generated by both the 36 and 44 site developments. 2, the width of Pillsbury is not adequate for the volume and the amount of traffic turning in and out of these developments. 3, the intersection of Pillsbury and Gilcrest. 4, will drainage provisions be adequate to handle the development? 5, responsibility for the maintenance of trails in all of Woodmont Commons. The latter point has been a particular sore point for the Orchards development. Our trail after 5 years goes nowhere. I hope to see you both at the meeting tomorrow night. Signed, Bob McDonald, 11 Catesby Lane, Londonderry.
Thank you. Anything else from the public? All right, I will bring it back to the board. Board, do you have anything?
I guess the one thing I'll agree with what you said before. I think when we're starting to talk about sidewalks, I think it goes against the look and feel. It goes against what the master plan survey had showed us on how people don't want this to become a city in look and feel. And I think by enforcing the sidewalk aspect of that, that just makes this look like another, city development down in Massachusetts. It's having those walking trails helps preserve the rural character of that orchard as much as what was there, helps put more green space in there. Having the wider road where you can walk seems like a better fit to me than a sidewalk.
Thank you. Anything else from the board? All right. So, the compliance alternate here. Obviously, we're talking about the compliance alternate, not the site plan. Your compliance alternate will be contingent upon approval of the site plan, correct? So one way or another, they're a little bit intertwined, or very intertwined. While I can support a compliance alternate, I don't think what you have for a site plan right now is gonna support the compliance alternate. we're asking to change some things in the PUD, such as sidewalks and whatnot, but the pavement width is staying the same. You guys talked about shifting house plates to make, shifting house plates to make the driveway fit, if you will, inside of what John was discussing with the right-of-way. I think a lot of that supports, the houses are too big that you're trying to put in there. You know, and I think that kind of comes back to, you know, is it aesthetically attractive if we're maybe trying to put in more here than what should be, what can be supported in here? Connected walkable neighborhoods, a 24-foot roadway is not walkable. If there are no individual sidewalks, that is making it further not walkable. Well, I understand that we've discussed, again, I'm working these together, but they are separate. We've discussed a pathway or what have you as it is right now. Number 5, potential impacts and mitigation needs. I'm confident this is something that's going to be addressed inside of your site plan, which again is this compliance alternate is contingent of your site plan. I think we need a very clear understanding, which Kelly alluded to earlier in the evening, of really figuring out what this, you know, what the impacts are and what the mitigation is going to be to a very congested part of town. I do agree that the compliance alternate, based off of what we've seen, is creating more green space, which is something that has been very discussed throughout the town, which is very similar to what we supported in the previous application on the rental area. The way it's laid out has created a significant more amount of green space. My comments to it. Again, just, I can support a compliance alternate, but I don't think what you have right now is supporting a compliance alternate when it comes time for a site plan and ultimately an approval, which would give you this compliance alternate. So, you know, we vote yes to your compliance alternate today, or we approve it. I think that you have a lot of work to do before you come back. All right? Does the board have anything?
I do have, I would support what some of the residents brought up with the road lengths and seemingly limited access to the site.
Yeah.
I just want to say in the area, just an idea where the condos are. I know it's site plan, but I just want to state, because Deb Paul made a good point about, you know, snow and guests and stuff. Maybe consider some guest parking. Just want to throw that out there.
Thank you. All right, board, I'm looking for a motion. What would we like to do here?
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to conditionally approve this compliance alternative request with a notice of decision to read substantially as follows. Motion to grant conditional approval of the compliance alternative request per section 2.2.3 Woodmont Commons PUD, the master plan, as presented, with the condition of a full site plan is required. 44 Pillsbury Road, tax map 10, lot 15, zone agricultural residential 1 at Woodmont Commons planned unit development. Procopio Companies is the applicant and Pillsbury Realty Development LLC is the owner.
I have a motion from Mr. Rugg. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mr.
I
Chair.
have a second from Lynn. Real quick for discussion or clarification, Kelly. While we're conditionally approving this, a condition of it is this site plan, correct? Or
The
up-
condition is essentially saying they need to demonstrate these
Correct, which would,
alternatives that you've
that's what I'm
approved
getting
in their
at,
site
which would be
plan.
through a site plan.
Right, in other words, if they're gonna differ even further from the PUD requirements, then they would have to come back for a different set of compliance alternatives. It's just
Correct.
reiterating that point.
So just so the board understands that there's more to this.
So still goes through our DRC
Yep.
review, still goes through all of those reviews that you're typically seeing for when they submit their site plan.
Thank you. All right, I will, I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor, starting with Giovanni, please.
Giovanni Verani, aye.
Ryan Willett, aye.
Lynn Wiles, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Steve Bickford, aye. Jason Knights, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right. We have a public hearing on an application for formal review of a site plan for a 120,645 square foot manufacturing building and associated site improvements. 5 Kitty Hawk Landing, map 17, lot 5-5, zoned industrial 1, and the Village on Technology Hill, planned unit development, Londonderry Holdings LLC is the owner and applicant. Excuse me. Let me get my paperwork up here. Well, they are coming up. We can work real quick on completeness. There are no outstanding checklist items. I'd be looking for a motion to accept the application as complete.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Oh boy, I have a second. Everybody's getting crazy now. We get different motions, different seconds. Second from Jason. All in favor, starting with Giovanni, please.
I missed that whole thing, I'm sorry.
Just say yes.
Ryan Willett, aye.
Lynn Wiles, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Steve Bickford, aye.
Jason Knights, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
The chair votes in the affirmative. Your application has been accepted as complete. Staff, do we have anything before we give it to our applicants?
Not at this time.
No, I'll wait.
All right, gentlemen, good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're back to bother you again. We'll still be here a few more times, but, we're getting there. Dick Anagnost, co-developer. With me tonight is Ken Zielinski, primary developer. Bruce Blazon from North Branch Construction, our esteemed engineer, who you know well, Nick Golan. I'd like to just take 2 minutes and give you a brief update of where we are and what we've been doing. So the infrastructure and roads are around 80% complete. So we're really going back. The bridge is in place at this point. The commercial building is 100% complete. We're currently using it as office for the construction and warehousing and the lunch area and staging area. Good news, we have secured a childcare operator. We've come to a decision on the architectural's layout and all of that stuff, so we're figuring we're going to probably start childcare around March. The leasing office is fully framed out. Interior finishers are putting in for the apartments and the common areas. There are 4 buildings framed at this point of the apartments. All foundations are in. The last one was being poured today when we were there. The elevator shafts are in, and we'll be starting finishes in the first building pretty quickly. We anticipate the first apartments could come online as early as the end of May, beginning of June. Tonight before you will be the industrial manufacturing, and without further ado, I'll turn it over to Nick unless there are any questions from the board.
All right. Thank you for the introduction.
Mr. Golan.
All right.
What was yours?
My name is Nick Golan, licensed engineer and principal of TF Ran. I'll note sitting over my right shoulder is Rob Harbison, who's going to be representing the architectural team tonight. So when we get to talking about our sleek, beautiful building, he's going to be able to lead us through that. In the past, we've had the stanchion available for someone to speak at. Is that going to be available, or do we have a microphone we can otherwise hand him?
Yeah, we're gonna just use that one over there tonight.
We'll make do then.
Thank you.
All right. Kelly, is it all possible to have either the color up or the site plan? All right, as that's getting going, what are we here for? This is the Envision building for Envision Technology. What is Envision Technology? This is an innovative company focused on developing and producing electro-optical systems which help their customers detect, see, and locate. Essentially, we are making the products that keep our servicemen and women safe. We have our site plan up before us. Dick gave us an update on our prior phases. This is our fifth iteration, our fifth design package, the first of which was our infrastructure. Our primary elements, our roads, our drainage, our water lines, our sewer. Next came our residential and leasing building phase, then retail and childcare, the on-point building, and our light manufacturing building. And now that brings us to the Envision building, with our remaining elements being the Selinsky's Foundation building, as well as the potential for an additional 20,000 square feet of manufacturing. So relative to the Envision building, let's take a look. It's situated in the upper right-hand corner of the sheet relative to the graphic that's before you, spanning approximately 300 feet by 395 feet for a footprint of approximately 237,000 square feet, spread across 2 stories, standing nearly 42 feet tall. Elevationally, we're sitting at approximately elevation 430, which is approximately 30 feet over the majority of our development. One of the intricacies of this site, although maybe not shown as well on this graphic as well as our site prep plan, is there is a tremendous amount of grade change. Just relative to these parcels that comprise the PUD in of itself, I think we discussed we had nearly 150 feet of grade change. In this immediate vicinity, just tracking from the north to the south, there's nearly 100 feet of grade change. So we had to be very creative in the siting of this building, the elements that surround it, that being the parking, the landscaping, how we would use retaining walls or otherwise. Relative to the existing features that are in this portion of the PUD, beyond just the elevational change, we do have several wetlands that we needed to be mindful of. Those wetlands are located at the southwest quadrant of this overall plan, as well as the southeast quadrant. There's also an additional fairly large wetland that's located centrally on the site. So there is an area of mature woods that is centrally located between the building and our parking lot. It's about half acre of mature woods that also has an existing wetlands within it. So we've been able to preserve those natural features, preserve the wetlands, such that there's no wetland impacts associated with this phase, as well as added an additional wildlife corridor to provide a refuge and an escape from that area to enter in and to enter out of for our smaller mammals, as well as our amphibians. We've also done our best to preserve as much existing vegetation around the perimeter of the property, again, to assist in that overall kind of wildlife corridor component. Another element to speak to relative to the siting of this building, we obviously have to tie to our existing development, and we do have some overlap. We have some overlap in the infrastructure phase, where the Envision building previously ended in a cul-de-sac. That was essentially a placeholder that would allow for fire department access over the property until we had this portion of the site fully designed. We have provided turning movements that are appropriate not only for police and fire apparatus, but also for our largest delivery vehicles to be able to navigate around the site and around the parking lot as necessary. So in lieu of that cul-de-sac, you can now see that is essentially where our Envision building is sitting. We also have some overlap on the on-point and light manufacturing, which is to the south. You can see where there's a 28-foot wide access road coming up from the bottom of the page. There were 22 parking spaces in that immediate vicinity previously. When we look at what our calculations were for required parking versus what we provided, we still exceed the PUD requirements for the overall parking numbers, even with that deletion. When we look at what the PUD required, it was approximately 60 spaces, and we have nearly double that remaining in that area. So although there is some overlap on portions of the PUD that have already been approved, we've accounted for the necessary parking, we've accounted for the necessary drainage, and made sure that we were able to extend our infrastructure as appropriate. So let's talk a little bit about our site layout. We talked about our efforts to preserve the wildlife corridor. We realize that it's probably not to the extent that the Conservation Commission was looking, but we also acknowledge that surrounding this property, there are other wildlife corridor opportunities, and that is one of the things that we rely on. Relative just to the layout of this in its entirety, we do have a fairly large parking lot that is to the southerly side of the page. Our overall parking lot is comprised of approximately 711 parking spaces. As aptly pointed out as part of the engineering review comments, this is a reduction from our original PUD. We originally had almost 849 parking spaces spread across this. Through the maturation of the project and further evaluation of the team, it was determined that there was the opportunity to reduce parking, created more green space, created more landscape elements. So it's nearly a 20% reduction in parking for this use. This wasn't a decision we came to lightly, but evaluated all of the resources that the ownership team had and their needs for this overall area, noting that this is fairly intricate machine work that is being done. This is assembly of some very specific pieces in order to accommodate their full build out, which when we compare it to the prior business of the applicants, rose to nearly 1,100 people. Now that was done across 3 shifts and it had multiple buildings, but this parking lot is very comparable to what they had for that previous facility. Through those iterations, we've been able to determine that we could at least reduce that parking to the extent that we felt was necessary. So the overall parking lot, again, has been designed for that full build out of the site. Just to speak to what the different elements are as far as the parking, that southerly portion is very much our employee entrance. There are 2 means of access, really 3 to the site, Insight Way, which is running north to south on the far left side of the page, which then picks up with Envision Drive, which tracks from the west to the east. You can come both from Akira Way or also from Kitty Hawk Landing in order to access that location. And then we also have the access drive that takes us down to the light manufacturing and on-point building that provides an additional means of access and egress. So really there's almost 3 points of access that we can look at in order to reach this facility. Layout internally, as we track from west to east, that first driveway curb cut is for our employee parking lot. As you continue further to the north, that is our visitor parking lot. And then you can see the loop road that encircles the building with loading docks at the far side. That's purposeful in that we do have a bit of a grade change along that portion of the property. So trying to locate our loading docks within that area made a lot of sense for us. One element that you see, which is noted in the gray scales of this drawing, is we do have some retaining walls in order to tie our grades. The first of which is a tiered retaining wall along the intersection of Insight Way and Envision Drive. These are tiered retaining walls. We didn't want to create that narrowing effect with a tall wall in relationship to that roadway infrastructure. So really those are 2 3 to 4 foot walls spaced about 8 feet apart. That's important that in order to make sure that the global stability of the wall for the high wall doesn't act on the low wall. Essentially, you want twice that distance of the low wall between them. So we factor that into the design, and our landscape architect did a great job of filling that space between them with various landscape plantings. Some are more of a shrub variety, others can become a little bit larger, with the expectation is it's going to provide the opportunity to really frame that upper parking lot, which does sit above our residential buildings, so that we don't have the light glare from headlights or otherwise pointed towards those buildings. So a nice little balance of how we can best use our landscaping and our retaining walls to also provide other advantages. I did mention just there is a fair amount of grade change to this overall property. We go from an elevation of approximately 430 of the building down to an elevation of about 410 on the most portions of this parking lot. There will be ledge removal that'll be required. There is a groundwater monitoring program that's already in effect and will continue to be in effect throughout the duration of this project, which is a requirement of the Department of Environmental Services Alteration and Terrain Bureau. We factored in this location when we originally started that ground mounted watering program. So really it's just a continuation until this project is complete and all of that ledge is removed. Now that ledge also ties into drainage design and how we can best manage our stormwater. To the southeastmost corner of this site is a large infiltration basin. So very similar to the other infiltration basins we've used elsewhere on the site. This is where just stormwater enters, has the opportunity to infiltrate, and is sized in accordance with not only the town, but also the state's regulations. Similar to other phases, our infrastructure, our on-point, our residential, we're also using subsurface stormwater systems. And I'm going to circle back to some of the outstanding engineering comments to that closer to the end of the presentation. But what we have with those subsurface systems is it is a closed drainage network of pipe that ultimately leads to a drain manhole. That drain manhole is directly connected to that subsurface system with a flat pipe. As water flows into the drain manhole and into that flat pipe, it then flows into the subsurface stormwater system, which is surrounded by an open stone. Provides the opportunity for water to build up within those chambers while still allowing us to use the land on top of it, which makes it a benefit, although at a more costly interval. And as that water rises within the subsurface stormwater system, it so too rises within the adjacent drain manhole. That drain manhole is an extension of that subsurface stormwater system. Its specific intent is to serve that subsurface stormwater system. We have the unfortunateness in that the town's regulations don't directly model how we deal with subsurface water systems. So in the past, the planning board had determined that if the town does not have a specific regulation for it, we're going to lean on the state standard. So that's something we'll touch on a little bit as we get a little bit further into our presentation. Those standards, ENVWQ 150708 is for an infiltrative system. And then also they have a registration and notification process for stormwater infiltration to groundwater, which is covered by ENVWQ 40233A1. Sorry, I didn't have that part memorized, that I needed to write down. But the reality is we have state standards that govern these. There's a certification process to make sure these are installed correctly and continue to operate correctly. I made mention of that grade change across the site. We have our retaining walls at the intersection of Insight and Envision as we loop around the property directly behind the loading docks where we have our tallest wall. It's 30 feet at its height, and then it tapers to 0 feet, heading both to the north and the south to match the existing grade. Other elements that are important to discuss are utilities. So given this is a planned unit development, we already planned for the necessary utilities that would be required and received the necessary will serve letter from the utility providers. We're extending our electric service, our gas service, our water, and our sewer service. Noting that we do have approval already from the town sewer department, which allows us to file our state sewer permit. And Manchester Waterworks has also signed off on the design of the project, as has Liberty. Additionally, we received correspondence today from the fire department that they've approved the hydrant locations that have been added to the project set, as well as reviewing the circulation routes around the building. Other components to talk about, segueing from utilities to site lighting. So we do have Stark Sky compliant lighting, pole-mounted fixtures, which are dotted throughout the parking lots, but primarily in the landscape islands, sit 20 feet above finished grade, and then wall-mounted units sit anywhere between 10 to 18 feet above finished grade. The next element I want to talk about is landscaping. I'm going to be a little excited about this, and I hope you guys are too, because we really do feel like that we've integrated some really cool components to this. We've worked really hard to try and tie this portion of the development to the remainder of the PUD, but also the community. So if I can, I'm just going to walk us through the site real quick, talking about some of the different types of plantings we used or otherwise. As we approach, as we travel down Envision Drive, again, that first driveway is our employee parking entrance. Here we frame that with lilacs on either side, as well as used the Princeton elm. If you remember, the Princeton elms are what you experience as you first come in off of Kira Way, and that as those grow in and up, they create this kind of umbrella silhouette, so that it provides this real nice entrance experience. And we wanted to make sure that we had that, and we're able to duplicate that in this portion of the project. As we continue down Envision Drive towards the visitor entrance, we approach the flag pole bank. There we have waves of flowering shrubs mixed with ornamental grasses and lower evergreen ground cover to really focus the view towards that visitor entry and the building entrance overall. When Rob has the opportunity to talk, he's going to tell us about all the cool things that they've been able to do on this building, and it's really going to redirect the eye of the visitor to those incredible architectural elements. As we work down the parking lot, we have a feature we're really proud of where we've actually incorporated an apple orchard. Here we have 3 different varieties: Cortland, Honeycrisp, and Macintosh. There's overall, I believe we have 25 apple trees. We thought this was a fun way to tie it to the community, a fun event or otherwise that the business would have the opportunity to do, where you can go out and pick your own apples. They're foreseeing that as a fun company opportunity. And what we've done to try and enhance and limit the need for maintenance is what we've done is used a wild clover ground cover in that area. Very little to no mowing responsibilities. So again, we're not spending extra time or natural resources for mowing that area. And it really provides a more natural element that then allows us to transition to the area that's immediately to the left. As we're transitioning from the orchard to this existing forest pocket, what we've done is we framed that along the westerly side with native azaleas and evergreens, which really allows us to soften that edge. So we're going from the very built environment that is our building through the apple orchard, which provides for a nice meandering stroll. We've then defined a softer edge as we then enter towards that forest pocket. Now, forest pocket has some interesting species in it as well. We have maple, we have oak, we have sassafras that provide a really nice overstory, and it really helps break up the parking lot versus the building versus the other elements of our PUD. Noting also that there is a wetland there, and it provides us the opportunity to preserve that resource. As we work our way further south, that gets us into our employee entrance. And as we work our way left to right, you can see where there's more of a plaza-style entrance represented by that gray box at the southwest corner of the building. But what we tried to create here is more a park-like setting. You can see the curvilinear patio. Within that area, we have small flowering trees on the interior. Then as you move to the outer, you see medium to large shade trees with shrubs, with various massings to create space that separates it from the parking lot. The idea is this is supposed to be a nice place for folks to come out, have lunch, take a break, or otherwise. We don't want them feeling like they're sitting next to a parking lot. It's not the equivalent of sitting street side in Manchester where we have an outdoor patio. We really want there to be a sense of place here. And the combination of plantings as well as the architectural characteristics of the area, I think, are really going to lend itself to that. Now, these landscape selections also provide for varying silhouettes as well as textures. In the silhouettes, we see these more triangular shapes at the perimeter, where we have our white spruce or firs. There's circulars represented by our tupelos, more ovalesque, which are open, our oak and our maple, and then the umbrella, the elms that I had mentioned previously. So really, there's a great dichotomy of the different textures and silhouettes of these plantings. Also, just a great cross-section of fall colors. So we have our brilliant red to our orange to our yellow, just a nice cross-section so we get some year-round color to these plantings. Now, as we work south from the patio westerly across the employee entrance, what we selected are salt-tolerant shade trees, junipers, and grasses in an effect to try and reduce that heat island effect. You can see there's a large central landscape area, then broken up in several locations to provide for appropriate pedestrian crossings. We provide smaller flowering trees within the smaller islands that we have. And you'll note that there aren't islands throughout the parking lot, in part because we have utilities, we have subsurface stormwater systems. So we've made sure to purposely locate those in locations where they don't conflict with any of our landscaping. As we work from our parking lot to our perimeter, we've again used the wildlife conservation mix on slopes to transition to the existing forest areas. We've done that throughout the PUD, provide us the opportunity to cut down on maintenance, but then again, also softening that edge as we go from the built environment to the existing environment. I'd note that the plant palette that we've used for this portion of the development is in keeping with the other phases of the Village on Technology Hill, and it does uphold the values expressed in that PUD. You'll also note one final element, that the interconnection of this portion of the development to the others was vital. This is supposed to be a walkable community. So we do have sidewalk along Envision Drive that provides direct access to the visitor as well as the employee entrance. And then there's a little bit more of a circuitous route folks can take from the southerly portion of the parking lot that would lead you directly into the residential area. So again, trying to find different ways that we can provide that interconnection, but at the same time having that industrial use have the appropriate separation from our residential offerings. Now is probably a good time to segue. I've talked about how the landscaping is tied to the PUD, and if I can have Rob have the opportunity to come up and speak a little bit. As to the architecture of this building, we can transition from our color plan to some of our elevations.
He said segue, but really he meant tired of talking.
Thank you, Rob.
My name's Rob Harpison. I'm one of the architects working on the team. In truth, I'm filling in for Jeff Bathlon, who's our project manager, who went off to get himself married. And we also have Christina O'Brien here from our team. So between the two of us, I think we can get you any of the answers that you need. So there's a reason that they call this the Village at Technology Hill, and this is at the top of the hill. This is the Envision building where they're making really cool technological components. And And so we wanted this building to reflect that. You will see as we go through this a number of features that that carry throughout the village. We very much want this building to relate to the other buildings that exist on campus and be sort of a good big brother. But you'll see some of the trends that we've carried around the campus. And the way that we're thinking about this building is as sort of a modern mill building. We have tons of mill buildings in New Hampshire and throughout the Northeast that have made textiles and all kinds of products. And this is the modern version of that. And what do those buildings have? They always have large windows, and they always break up the scale of what's a large building with different rhythms. So in this building, on one end, we've sort of broken the front elevation into thirds. On one end, we have a large glass box entry canopy, which you see pictured at the upper left. And then we have another version of that at the bottom right. Those are the primary visitor entrance and then the primary employee entrance. And so we want them to very much relate to each other, but be a little bit different. And so the primary visitor entrance is at the front left corner of the building. It's the tallest feature. And as you go around the rest of the campus, I'm sure you've seen on some of the other buildings that have come before you, angular features, wood look materials, metal panel, more glass than other portions of the building. All of those are shown here and just sort of taken to a more modern version. One item that did come up at the Heritage Commission that we spoke to, and there was some disagreement. Some people thought we should add this and some people thought we should not. A number of the buildings on campus have stone. Here, there's been some debate about whether that's appropriate or not, but what we have added at both of the entries, and for the upper left corner, you can actually see it better on the previous image. Both of them, we've added stone walls at the pedestrian scale that curve and bring you into that front entry, which adds a lot of texture at that pedestrian level. This building is so big, you sort of have to look at it at two scales. One is the macro scale, where we've broken it into these three components, and then we have that sort of stacked brick pattern of the white metal panels and some changes in depth that provide shade and shadow as you move across the building. The building also has angled facets, which you see throughout campus as well. And so then there's the pedestrian scale, where we have the inset entry canopy. And so if you stand back and look at this building or you're driving up, you see that glass box and you know that's the entry feature. That's the important place that I need to go. But then if you're at a pedestrian scale, you see this inset canopy and you feel the wood look panels and you feel the stone and the landscaping that brings you in. So we're always working at those two scales in this building. As you move down to the right, there's a lot of storefront glass, and that, just like the old mill buildings, that's to bring a lot of light into this, natural light into this space where these employees are working throughout the day. It's a deep building, and we have that on both ends. You're at the top of the hill, and there are some great views up there on all three sides, those three sides, and then the north side, it's a little bit more tucked in. But you'll be able to see those vistas as an employee throughout the building in the open floor space. And then as you get down to the right-hand side, and this might be a good time to scroll forward one image, that's where that employee entrance is, behind the orchard that Nick described. It's a little bit more set into the grade, and it has that recess, again, to give you that change of depth. And then you can also see where the landscaping and the stone wall at that pedestrian level bring you in at that lower scale. Further back on the right, that's off of the employee dining, where we have an exterior patio, and then you see the vertical features that we've kind of used those egress stairs as kind of building forms to help to break up that scale. So again, you see that rhythm of the glass box, that stacked bond pattern, the glass again, and it repeats. So the other component, and we're looking at a lot of roof there. The flat roof one serves to bring down the mass of the building, but also this one will be fitted with solar panels, and it does have a screen around it, so you won't, because it's the highest thing, you won't really see it visibly from everywhere. But one of the things that the building owner is doing in this building, it's a technological building because of what they're working on, but it's also a technological building in terms of the mechanical system and the energy efficiency, which for a building this size, they'll save on that year over year. And of course, it's highly sustainable, which is good for all of us. So I know I've gone kind of quick. That's that's a lot of information to take in a quick snapshot, but I guess I'll pause there and see if there are any questions on the architecture or the features of the building.
All right. John and Kelly, you got anything?
Are you all set, Nick?
Do you want to look back to the design review comments and the engineering comments? Or we can have,
Pointed
I
on
think
that.
they're gonna kind of cross paths here.
Let's do these two first, and then.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Does anybody have any questions on architecturals, landscape, any of that details?
I don't have any questions. I have a comment, though. I think the building's beautiful. I think you did a good job.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the solar panels, so I'm glad to hear that. As far as the question of stone versus not stone, this isn't an old mill building. This isn't a country store on Mammoth Road. So this is a technology building. So I think this reflects what you're doing there. And I do want to commend you guys because you clearly put thought and effort and heart into this. And I think it's beautiful, and I love the apple orchard and all the other features in it. So very, very nice.
Anything else from the board?
I'm trying to figure out how he cut down on maintenance for me.
I think, architecturally, I think it looks fantastic. It's refreshing to see when you have a project like this and you have an owner who is so involved in it. It's very evident when you see something like this that comes before us. I think a modern mill building's a stretch. But I think it looks, nonetheless, I think it looks fantastic.
Just those big concepts.
Yeah. Just a question on the landscape. Is what's around the building, and is this all irrigated?
It will have the opportunity to be irrigated, yes.
Wonderful. All right. If you want to get into design review comments, and then we'll go back to John and Kelly.
All right. So just addressing the DRC comments. So I'm just going to flip to Kelly's memorandum, and I'll just take them one at a time so you can see where we are at. And do this quickly. First, the Conservation Commission. They had asked us to evaluate shuttles, van pools for employees, as well as to try and maintain as much of the wildlife corridor as possible by limiting parking, in particular, the most to the easterly lot. That area was really difficult because that is where our employee parking is and where the largest massing of our parking is. I'll note that we were able to reduce parking overall when we think about it in comparison to the original development plan by 20%, which is a benefit. We were able to preserve some mature forest in the middle of our development, which we thought was a pretty great thing, in providing some interconnection with a wildlife crossing. I can't imagine it was enough to meet what the expectations were for the Conservation Commission, but we had to find a balance between developing the site and then preserving the natural characteristics. Taking a look at the Heritage Commission, they had a request for us to evaluate stone hardscape features at the front path and perhaps around the employee patio. Those have been provided. Fire Department. Fire Department requested we provide spacing of hydrants every 300 feet around the building. Brian Johnson was kind enough to send me an email this morning to let me know that what we had sent was agreeable. And I did pass that along to staff, albeit late in the day. They also asked us to provide additional turning radius for apparatus around the parking area, which we have also provided. There is also a couple of questions from assessing. I got a phone call today saying that we're all good there. Manchester Waterworks asked us to swap out a curb stop for a gate valve. That was readily addressed. And Sewer Department also provided confirmation this morning that we had addressed their final comments. So I feel like we're in a good spot relative to the DRC comments. That brings me to the engineering comments. So I think in large part, we've done a good job of addressing what was outstanding. But there are a few outliers that I feel that we have previously addressed as part of various applications for the village, addressed as part of infrastructure, addressed as part of residential and leasing, as well as on-point and light manufacturing. What the planning board determined in those instances where there was an ambiguity was that if the town, determined that the town regulations do not address certain stormwater management systems. It's antiquated. They're in the process of getting updated, but they haven't been updated yet. So in particular, our subsurface stormwater systems aren't addressed by the drainage regulations. It was also determined that where the town does not have a specific regulation that addresses an element, that we would rely on a state standard. So that is the way that we have progressed with our stormwater management design. And I think there's really just 2 comments. In a total, I think it's more like 6, but it's the same comment 5 times. If the board would indulge me, I would just read those to you so we can get clarity on those, just so we don't have a back and forth process. Comment 4B, based upon the indicated elevations, the top of the 36-inch pipe for the wildlife crossing at Envision Drive would not have any cover and does not comply with section 3.07 G3. So 3G just states minimum cover over a pipe for a drainage pipe. This is a wildlife crossing. It's not beholden to that same standard of care. The very end of that pipe projects a foot with no cover on it based off of the requirements of New Hampshire fishing game. So I think this is probably just more of a clarification. John, I apologize, I didn't get a chance to connect with you to speak to this specific one. We talked a little bit about the subsurface drainage one. We neglected to include our detail for this that was approved as part of the other phases, so I'm thinking maybe the fault lies with us, that we didn't provide that detail, that they would then look back at the previous plans and say, oh, this is the same thing. But just as a point of clarity, that the wildlife crossing is not a drainage pipe, it's not intended to carry drainage, you're not worried about frost protection, it's just so our little critters can get through. So in that instance, that would necessarily be an applicable requirement. The next item really falls into the drainage analysis, which is item 6B. And this comment is, it's 6B, it's C, it's D, it's E. I'll just read one of them for the purposes of brevity. The proposed 36-inch pipe outlet at headwall 7 at elevation 402 from DMH 97 would be mostly submerged during the 25-year event with a detention basin peak elevation of 403.94. As noted in the submitted updated drainage calculations, as presented, the revised design does not convey the runoff entirely through the system to the detention basin as required by section 307G1. I think it's just a typo. 307G1 is the minimum pipe size. I think what they were looking at is 307C1, which is in regards to closed drainage system or a closed conduit. That regulation states closed conduit systems shall be designed to convey the appropriate design storm required by the regulations under gravity flow conditions with no more than full flow pipe conditions. That is not what I just read. That is saying that if you have a closed drainage system of pipes, they can't be flowing full during a 25-year storm. The instance in which we have is read it correctly, mostly submerged. Mostly submerged is not pipe full, so that regulation does not apply. When we sat with the board as part of the plan unit development and the subsequent packages, we said we would comply to the rules as written. We feel that we are complying with the rule as written in comparison to that requirement. It does freely discharge. It's doing what it's supposed to. This comment is very similar to the next 3, but the next 3 have to do with the subsurface stormwater system. And I'll read just one of these, and I apologize for the overly wordiness. The revised pond analysis for StormTech 4 indicates a 25-year peak elevation of 419.37 that would completely submerge the 30-inch pipe from DMH 84 at elevation 415.48 by more than 16 inches during the 25-year storm event. In addition, the revised analysis indicates the 30-inch pipe from DMH 98 elevation 416.07 be submerged by more than 11 inches during the 25-year storm event. As presented, this revised design does not convey the runoff entirely through the system to the detention basin as required by section 307G1 of the regulations. Again, I think it was just a misnomer. They were trying to reference something else. But again, this isn't a detention basin. This is a subsurface stormwater area. We note the proposed stormwater system piping upstream of DMH 84 and 98 would be partially submerged during the 25-year storm event. Again, the town does not have a regulation that governs that. We recommend the design be revised to eliminate the submergence of the pipe during the 25-year design storm. In compliance with the regulations, please update the design acceptable to the Department of Engineering and Environmental Services. Kelly, do you also have our site plan package? I was wondering if we could flip to the details, because I think that best illustrates how this system works, if that's something that's possible. So as part of our presentation, I had mentioned water flows into the pipe, water flows into the downstream drain hole, which is directly connected to the subsurface system. It's a flat pipe that connects the two. That drain manhole is intended for the purposes of access to be able to clean the subsurface system. It's integral to that system. It's not a part of our closed conduit. It's not part of that closed drainage system where we're conveying water to a given location. It's the end of the line. It's where that water is intended to go. I think it's sheet D07, which will be closer to the back. It's one of the details. D07, 8, and 9 basically show all the same information. And what this does is it shows a cross-section of the system, and there's a drawing that's a nice detail that shows exactly where that drain manhole is, how it connects to that system, and why these two elements are integral to each other. Yeah, any one of those is good. So in the lower left-hand corner, second detail up, if we could at all zoom into that, that is our, right there. Yep, that is our, a nice little cross-section of our stormwater system. You can see where the drain manhole or catch basin is directly connected to it. Stormwater flows in, fills up head, flows through the pipe, fills up into the subsurface system, and it's regulated by an outlet structure designed in accordance with the Town of Londonderry standards. We set that outlet structure so that we can fully utilize the storage area below. So we're typically setting that outlet either right at the top of that subsurface system or just below it, to make sure, as previously discussed with the board, that during that 100-year storm event, the one we worry about, okay, the worst of the worst type storms, where does that storm water go? And we want to make sure it stays within the stone associated with that system so we don't have breakout. These systems are all designed in accordance with the same systems that were previously approved by the board for infrastructure, for residential, as well as for on-point. There's no design deviations. We received this comment saying that it is not consistent with the regulations, and unfortunately, we are asking the board for clarity that, again, the town does not have a regulation that governs subsurface stormwater systems. As such, we're going to rely on the state standards, and that item 307G1, or in this case C1, would not be applicable. I'm happy to answer any and all questions about this. You guys asked a lot of questions when we went over it the first time. That was months ago, actually almost years ago. But I'm happy
Say
to
almost 2 years ago?
Almost a year ago.
Oh, I was gonna say, geez, it hasn't been that long.
We've been working on this for 3 or 4 years, but yeah, no, it's, we feel like the precedent's set, but wanted to make sure that we spoke to this element at the board so this didn't fester.
Sure.
Your waiver request, Nick.
Oh, I apologize. Thank you, John. There is one waiver request for cleansing velocity in pipes. It's a very similar waiver that we've had on the project. There are a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pipes for which we're requesting this, and that is because these are at outlet structures and there's zero flow leaving them during the 25-year storm. So I cannot achieve a peak velocity of 2 feet per second with no flow leaving the system. Thank you for the reminder, John.
All right. Mr. Trotter.
Yep. Design review items, I'll abbreviate the comments. Item 2 is, item number 1 was regarding the pipe velocities. Item 2 is to obtain all relevant permits, provide copies to the planning department, and note the approval number on the plan set. Number 3, we're asking clarification for the ramp at the crosswalk located at the westerly driveway. Item 4 is provide design information regarding the drainage and erosion control associated with the retaining wall, northerly of the proposed building and easterly of the proposed retaining wall. Item B, clarify the wildlife crossing for the proper construction. Items C, D, and E are related to providing or revising to include complete pipe information, sewer design, and verify the fire and Manchester Water Works are satisfied with the design. Item 5 are clarifications to some of the details within the plan set. Item 6, as Nick indicated, item B, C, D, and E. Again, those, as Nick says, our regs are silent to regarding submergence of pipes. From an engineering standpoint, I just feel it's poor engineering practice to have pipes submerged. So, again, as Nick says, some of these are repeat, but again, staff we don't have the authority to pick and choose what comments we're gonna provide to you people. It's your decision so we call it, you guys make the decision. So you'll continue seeing repeats. Item F is updating the pipe summary table. Item G is updating the post-development drainage area plan. Item 7 is addressing the DRC comments from the planning, assessing, conservation, fire department, police, heritage, and the sewer division. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yep.
Kelly?
So related to the DRC comments, so at this stage, the CONSCOM comments have been addressed. You heard that from the applicant as well. Same with Heritage. I can confirm that I received the email from the fire department saying they approved the hydrant locations as was represented by the applicant, as well as confirmation from the sewer division that the sewer division comments have been addressed at this time as well. And again, a reminder, you have a waiver request to consider before you move into the plan itself.
Thank you. Kristen, anything? Good? All right, I'll bring it to the board. Anybody got anything? Please, not all at once.
Just April and October, gonna be fishing for sediment out of the pipes, right? Gonna be cleaning.
Fantastic. Anything else? All right, this is a public hearing. We will open up public comment. If you could come up to the microphone that this gentleman just stood up from, I'd appreciate it. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. I got some concerns. Bob Mel, again, 569 Mammoth Road. I'm gonna try to use this map over here and try to, oh, you guys can't see it.
It's all good.
Maybe I'll try the other one. I apologize.
All good.
One thing I noticed is you got the map when you had it earlier. Can you manipulate it so you got a little bit more this way? Yeah. Okay, that's better. Recently, you cleared this whole area, and you cleared it right back to the property line. And the property line I'm concerned about is along here, and you cleared it to essentially 0 feet from the property line. And you got this wetland area here. Essentially, it's the low spot, and all the dirt, trash, and everything is going to go right into the wetland area. You got right now. You got a big mining operation right here on the building that was approved last time, and so this is a natural spring right through here, and I think there's a natural spring. Is it this area here that you're going to have to protect? The letter says 120,000 square foot building, but when you look at the plans, it's more than 200,000 square feet, so we need to clarify exactly how many square feet actually being built. So you were talking about leaving a buffer. You left no buffer, but it's along here and here, and I'm concerned about the lights coming off of the building here and going east. So that's some of the concerns I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we clarify that building size?
Sure. The first floor is approximately 120,000 square feet, but being it's a 2-story building, there's another 117 on that second level, which gets you to the aggregate of 237.
But it's kind of misleading when you read 120 and when you look at the plans at more than 200. So it's kind of confusing in that way.
Thank you. John and Kelly, you have anything on that, or you're good?
You want to talk about the clearing?
Bruce, the clearing.
We did encroach on the buffer.
Can you come to the mic? Can you come to the mic?
Yeah.
Sorry, Bruce.
Sorry, Bruce.
The quiet man in the back is Bruce Blazon. We'll put him in front of a mic so we can all hear what he has to say. We dragged you out here during your vacation, so the least you can do is say something.
Bruce Blazon,
You're on
North Branch.
vacation and you're at the Londonderry Planning Board.
I'm dedicated to my client. Bruce Blazon, North Branch Construction. Our esteemed surveyors set our limits of clearing. We are not against the property lines.
How far off the property line?
I believe we're over 50 feet.
Could we just have somebody verify that?
Yeah, it is variable. In some areas, it's
Yeah.
in excess of 50. In other areas, it gets down to like 10.
It is. About 10 to 15 per the setback requirements, and then, yes, in other areas, it's about 50.
Can we just?
I was actually just
Yeah.
out there
Can we?
probably a week
Yeah,
ago.
we can just verify that it's
Yep.
meeting what it needs.
Sure.
Okay. Just come on up real quick.
My brother is the owner with his wife, but I was up there the first Monday of the month, and I took a walk along the Londonderry Holden line along my brother land, and they cut right to the line. There's no 50. They didn't leave a 50-foot buffer of trees. They cut it right to the line, and I'll take any board member here, and I'll take them up and I'll show them myself if you wish to take a look. And we'll stay on the Mel family land.
So let's just.
Do you want me to?
Go ahead.
Please.
There's no vegetative buffer requirement. There's a setback requirement, as you would typically
Yeah.
see. However, they have left
A 50
a
foot
varying
where they can.
vegetated buffer along the property line.
You follow that, Bobby? Do you understand what she said?
Well, I mean, yes, you can drain it over, but you took everything right to the line in places.
That's fair.
And they're-
In certain
In
locations,
certain
we
places,
did.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's cleared right to the property line.
And they're permitted to
And,
do
you
that,
didn't-
Bobby.
You didn't leave anything except for, you got a little bit in the, a little bit over in the corner, and you left the wetland area right here, but that's just gonna become filled in with the, various debris over time, the way you got it right now.
Nick,
Okay.
Nick, can we identify a couple areas with staff that we could
I would-
put a little
Yeah.
bit of a
I'll take
vegetative?
We'd be
the
happy
number
to.
of staff up and we can take a look if
In
you
one, like, just
wanna.
to give some order of magnitude, like in the northeast corner, we have almost 300 feet as the
Yep.
crow flies to the corner. So, but agreed, in some locations, we are up to the property line.
I'm talking about this.
Relative to the PUD requirements, there's no vegetative buffer. It states that we'll try and preserve mature vegetation where we can. In this case, I think we've accomplished that, not only with where we have been able to preserve it at the perimeter, but also internal to the site.
Take a walk at it with staff, take a look at it, and see if there's anything.
I may not be the person walking just because I'm not getting around
Not
so
that
great.
you don't
but
seem like the boots kind of guy.
normally I am, but until this knee surgery goes through,
I saw you limping on the way.
yeah,
out
I'm
of there.
doing my
All right.
best, guys.
I'd like to walk the site too.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure anyone would have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Just have to reach out, and Bruce can schedule that.
And just let me know how many of you are gonna be there, please.
Absolutely. Well, why
I'll
don't
go-
why don't
I'll
we
go with
follow
you.
up?
I'll go with you. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Why don't we follow up in an email? We'll take a walk, and I'm sure that the applicant, if the board sees something that we may feel needs a handful of trees, the applicant will be more than willing to
I see Ken
be
nodding yes, so,
reasonable. So, sure.
yep, I
Wonderful.
can arrange that.
Thank you. All right, thank you, sir. Anything else from the public? Seeing none, I will close public comment. All right, I'll start with the staff, come to the board. Anybody, actually, I already went to the staff.
Yep.
Come back to the board. All right, we have a waiver to work on.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I will make a motion that we grant a waiver. Let's see.
I will.
Just rephrasing this right here, or is
Yeah.
it? Okay, for portions of the proposed design will not provide the minimum of 2 feet per second velocity per section. 3.07.G.2 of the site plan regulations, and that regulation which we grant the waiver.
Fantastic. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
I have a second. All in favor, starting with Giovanni, please.
Giovanni Veroni, aye.
Ryan Willett, aye.
Lynn Wiles, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Steve Bickford, aye.
Jason Knight's aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. All right. We have a motion for a conditional approval. Is there anything we have to talk through here with regards to design review comments?
Yeah, before you go there, Nick, on the submerged pipes, your lower frequency storms, you get cleansing velocities.
In the only pipes where we don't have it are in the outlet structures where there's no discharge. So
Right.
unlike the infrastructure phase where we had a couple of pipes where it's just a real small amount of water getting to them, and that's why we were asking for it, specific to this phase, it is only for the outlet structures. So we do have cleansing velocity in all our other pipes for the 25-year storm.
So one more time, the pipes that are submerged, in the smaller storms, in the 10-year storm, where you get your cleansing velocities.
I have not evaluated a lesser storm for cleansing velocity in the pipes that currently meet the cleansing velocity requirements.
So what ends up happening when those pipes are submerged is water in them, but that's at a 25-year storm because there's so much water in the system. So what I'm asking Nick is that some of the smaller storms, there's not as much water, but that those you would get the cleansing velocities in those smaller storms. So in essence, a storm it's more likely that you would get 2-year storm in the summertime, it would clear out those pipes. It would clean those pipes.
I think
So
I
that's
think
what
we'll be
I'm-
okay, but you raise a good point, John, that the pipes that are submerged, those are the flat pipes that go from the drain manhole into the subsurface stormwater system. If there's sediment anywhere in that pipe, you have direct access in the adjacent manhole, and that's what that manhole's for, is to be able to clean that pipe and clean that system. So I think we have that covered. I'll admit, in our earlier iteration of what we submitted, we did have some pipes that were submerged leading up to some of those, leading to that drain manhole. We resolved that by modifying some of the pipe elevations as requested, in keeping with the rules. So I feel confident that they'll be able to maintain these pipes appropriately as currently designed.
Yeah. April and October. All right. Anything else, John?
Nope.
What's the board think on all the drainage mumbo jumbo?
It's important to us engineers.
I have a question, just for my own education. It seems like there seems to be some debate on the submerged pipe. Does the pipe have to be submerged? Like, well, why are we submerging a pipe?
Historically, it had been something that the DPW and engineering office had asked, is to not have pipes ever be submerged. It's not written into your regulations, but it's just a request.
To not be submerged?
Correct.
But you're submerging them?
No. The only area where we have a fully submerged pipe that doesn't flow full is going from a drain manhole directly into our subsurface system based off of that graphic that we saw. It's not the pipe network that drains to that. That has free discharge.
But why? Why is it submerged? Is there
Why is it
some?
submerged? Oh, no, that's a great question.
Yeah.
It's just think
is
of it
there-
elevationally.
Okay.
Water flows in at this elevation.
Yeah.
That same elevation is in the, immediately adjacent drain manhole. As water rises, it's a direct relationship. They're right next to each other. So that drain manhole has to be submerged because what it's flowing into is also submerged. Nothing can flow out of this until it reaches a certain elevation, which is after it's fully filling that subsurface system. So you're always going to have at least that same amount of water in the immediately adjacent drain manhole. And where does water come in to a drain manhole? Usually at the bottom. So you're always going to have some submergence on that pipe. It's just the nature of how a subsurface stormwater system works.
Okay.
You don't always have that necessarily when you have an infiltration or detention system. And you can see that on some of even driving on the highway or even around other projects. If that pipe is coming out real high above whatever your storage volume is, then that pipe won't be submerged and it would have free discharge. It varies based off of designer preference and applicability relative to what's out there, whether it makes sense to come out higher or lower within the basin itself.
Or you add more capacity in the underground system. You add more bathtub so that water can flow freely into that system, because that's another option.
So you're okay with the submersible pipe?
No, I don't, I think it's poor engineering practice, Ryan.
So
Personally.
how would you suggest?
Again, another opportunity, look at adding additional, so there was a couple, that's why I was asking them about, can you get cleansing velocities? Like steepening up that pipe, or add additional capacity underground.
Well, why wouldn't, I'm just curious,
Why wouldn't
was,
we make
is it a
systems
cost of effectiveness, or what are we trying to overcome?
We make stormwater systems as large as they need to be, much like we make our buildings as large as they need to be, or our parking lots as large as we need to be. If we were just to continue to design to make stormwater systems bigger and bigger, if it's surficial, that means we're losing developable area. If we're putting it underground, now we're also dealing with whatever those ramifications are, whether it's ledge removal, the cost of the systems. These systems are extremely expensive. They can be anywhere between $500 and $1,000 per unit to be installed. And we're talking about hundreds of units. There's certainly a cost effectiveness that we have to be mindful of as well. So we design these systems so there's no peak rate, no increases in the peak rate of runoff for the desired year storms, both regulated by the town as well as the state. Those are our design practices. We don't make the system bigger than it needs to be.
And I'm a little more in tune with maintenance. So, once it's designed, it's out of sight.
Sorry, sir.
No, it's not gonna be ours.
This is a
not ours.
Private issue, yeah.
This is, if it fails, it's on them. They need
Yeah.
to maintain it.
They're making widgets, they don't care about the underground storage.
And we have this condition already approved on the site.
Yes, I mean, we have, we've shown they've shown in the past a reasonable alternate that we've agreed to, and to me still seems like a reasonable alternative here.
We talked about this for like 3 hours one day.
Probably combined, we're at about hour 9.
You guys didn't learn, you're still asking questions.
Yeah, exactly. yeah.
He's still saying poor engineering. So I have no issues with what's presented. Anybody have any?
Same as last time.
All right, so let's move on. I'm looking for a motion to grant conditional approval of the site plan for the Envision manufacturing phase of the Village on Technology Hill planned unit development.
Correct.
Londonderry Holdings LLC is the owner and applicant, map 28, lots 31-6, 29-2, and map 17, lot 2-5. 2, 5-3, 5-4, and 5-5, last revised October 23rd, 2025, with the precedent conditions to be fulfilled within 120 days of approval and a prior to plan signature, and general and subsequent conditions of approval to be fulfilled as noted in the engineering memo.
With the exception
With
of
the
exception of the
6B.
drainage comments.
6B, item 6B, C, D,
and E.
and E.
Perfect. Item 6B,
And
C,
4B.
D, E, and 4B. Wonderful.
Alphabet time.
All right, there's my motion. Do I have a motion? There's my recommendation.
So moved.
Okay.
Fantastic. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. We'll go with Giovanni this time.
Spreading it around. Question on the.
Yes, Mr. Rugg.
The site walk and
Yes.
the vegetation.
Yes.
Any changes there?
No, I would ask
want
that
specific detail on
staff work with the applicant to set up a site walk for, give me a minute, once we get through the motion. That staff works with the applicant for a site walk, and I'm confident that if the planning board sees an area they feel as though could use a little bit of vegetation, I'm very confident that the applicant will work with us. So with that, I have a motion, I have a second, we just had discussion, all in favor, starting with Giovanni, please.
Giovanni Veroni, aye.
Ryan Willett, aye.
Lynn Wiles, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Stephen Bickford, aye. Jason Knight's aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Your site plan has been granted. And just get in touch with staff and we'll figure something out. All right? Thank you.
As always, thank you for all of the time you put into this stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
A big project.
I am looking for a public hearing for a formal review of a two-lot subdivision along with associated site improvements. 34 Page Road, map 17, lot 31, zoned AR1. Richard and Marjorie Glispin are the owner, and Tammy and Giovanni Verani are the applicant. And please note that Mr. Verani has recused himself from this application. All right, give me 1 second here. I don't even think I have it. Here we go. All right. We got to start with completeness. There are some outstanding checklist items. Kelly, if you can go over those real quick.
Kristen's gonna go over them.
Fantastic.
There's quite a few, so most of the checklist.
Most of it. Fantastic. I guess give us a 30,000-foot view. We've got a lot of the checklist here that I believe the applicant feels as though doesn't necessarily apply to.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if I can help Kristen out a bit here.
Oh, sure,
Again,
thanks. I have
Kristen, the planning department has noted 13 checklist items that were missing. From an engineering standpoint, I'd like to stress the importance of providing the following items as required by the Town of Londonderry subdivision regulations. Item 10.1, lot size and calculations. So again, here in the Town of Londonderry, we need to do a high-intensity soil survey that will determine how many bedrooms you can actually have on the lot. The applicant is proposing 2 lots that are greater than 5 acres in size. You still need to do the high-intensity soil survey. That way you can determine how many bedrooms you can have on that lot. You need to do a 4,000 square foot area, as well as doing a test pit. So those are just basic 101 of subdividing a lot here in the Town of Londonderry. The item 629, again, showing the 4,000 square foot area with the test pit. 630, showing the wells and the protective radiuses, again, the existing well and the proposed well, and then also, like I indicated, the HIS requirements. Item 7, 3.9, easements. The right-of-way along Page Road appears to be less than 25 feet from the center line of the existing roadway. Town typically requests a minimum of 25 feet from the existing center line be provided along existing roadways for future widening. We also, it appears to me that there's a cross culvert out there, so we would look for a drainage easement as well. Item 3.11, show existing and proposed driveways and the proposed site distances. Neither of them are it appears as a gravel area indicated on the existing lot. We need to see where the appropriate driveway location for the new lot with its site distance. There's no stormwater report, traffic impact, or utility clearance letters provided. So from an engineering standpoint, based on the above noted missing checklist items, engineering department does not recommend acceptance of the application at this time. That's all I have right now.
All right, Kelly, you.
Could I just add, just from a procedural standpoint, if the board's wishing to move forward to hear from the applicant, I'd recommend that you waive those items noted for acceptance only, and then work through what may or may not be conditions of approval.
Yeah, I agree.
If you are gonna go through completeness.
I agree. So I think it's fair to waive these for acceptance purposes only, and let's address them come conditional approval time. If we decide to make a motion for conditional approval, we can go through and figure out what is relevant to a lot line adjustment.
This isn't a lot line adjustment, this is a subdivision.
Subdivision, lot line adjustment, drawing a line on a map, right?
It's creating another lot.
I would be looking for a motion to accept this as complete for.
To waive the checklist
Yeah.
items for acceptance purposes only.
Thank you.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
All in favor, starting with Ryan, please.
Ryan Willett, aye.
Lynn Wiles, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Stephen Bickford, aye.
Jason Knight's aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. All right. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Doug McGuire. I'm with the Dubay Group, and I'm here representing the applicants, the Verani family. Giovanni Verani and his wife Tammy are here in the audience. So just, I can appreciate some of the concerns that Mr. Trottier brought up. And, a lot of those items are typical to your larger subdivisions that you would have. I think that this is different, and I can explain why our rationale is what it is. What we're looking at here is a lot at 34 Page Road. The existing lot is 16 and a half acres, and it currently has a developed single-family home and some associated infrastructure on the lot. Kelly, I don't know if you could go to just the subdivision sheet for me when you get a chance. That's good, thanks. So the entirety that you see there, the limits of the triangle, is the lot in question, 16 and a half acres. What we're proposing to do is we're proposing to do a two-lot subdivision. We're proposing to subdivide right up the existing stone wall that's on the property currently. And what that does is that creates a 5-acre lot with the existing home, and it leaves the remaining 11 and a half acres as a secondary lot. Our proposal at this point is to have that lot be an undeveloped lot. We're not proposing a driveway. We're not proposing to install a driveway. The purposes of the subdivision is because the Veranis are direct abutters to this property, and they would like to own the land directly adjacent to them for control, essentially. If you say you want a buffer, why don't you buy the neighbor? Well, that's what they're doing. So they're trying to do the proactive approach, but they don't have any plans or desire to address this as a buildable lot. They're not proposing a home there at this point. If they were to propose a home, it does conform to the requirements of frontage. There's enough frontage on the paved portion of Page Road where it does turn to gravel for some portion of it, but there's enough frontage to have a driveway come in off of Page Road if they were to so do that. Obviously, if this piece of land were to be further subdivided, there would need to be potential upgrades to Page Road and obviously subsequent plans that were submitted to you. And a lot of the items that Mr. Trottier was mentioning would then be appropriate at that stage. So I think it's important to note the lot sizing item that John mentioned. So HIS mapping is done because a lot in town has a minimum size of 1 acre, but verified through lot sizing by soils. Now, in this case, we have two lots. One is 5 acres in size, the other is 11 and a half acres in size. We did delineate the wetlands on property, so we're proving that there are viable uplands on the site. It's not all wet or anything like that. You can see where those wetlands have been delineated, and we did the entire property. But essentially,
we also did the topography on the property too.
we did do the topography as well. So our thought is it's really not appropriate. The state of New Hampshire, NHDES, would not require any further permitting for this subdivision at this stage, and that's because these lots exceed the minimum lot size of 5 acres. If you do a subdivision of 10 lots that are 5 acres apiece, you don't need NHDES state subdivision approval. And you don't need to do a test pit. You don't need to do a 4K area. You don't need to submit anything to them. And the reason behind that is because if you're looking to have land that supports a single-family home, having 5 acres of land is more than enough of lot sizing. And just as a frame of reference, DES would require you to utilize, they don't require HIS mapping, they require NRCS soil mapping. This property by NRCS soils is a Montauk soil, which is a Group 3 soil at DES. Now, just to kind of put this into perspective, having 5 acres of Group 3, it's not the best soil. You're not getting an A soil. It's not beach sand out there. So you're not getting a perfect soil by any means. That 5 acres supports 5,600 gallons per day of loading on the property. So you can see why you wouldn't need to pay the expense of having a high-intensity soil survey done when NRCS clearly shows that this is very easily a buildable lot and supportive of the proposed subdivision that we're showing. The 11.5 acres would support upwards of 13,000 gallons. So really not necessary for HIS mapping. And in our opinion, when we went through this checklist, you have opportunity for things to be not applicable. And in this case, that would not be applicable. A traffic study would not be applicable. A drainage study for no infrastructure is not applicable. Site distance profiles for no driveway or for an existing driveway that already exists for a single-family home that's not moving or improving in any way is not applicable. So that's our position on this. We did get a number of checklist items. I didn't get any copies of Mr. Trottier's comments before the meeting, but we did get some staff comments from planning of some checklist items. I would note that of the 10, 13 or so that are on this sheet, I do believe we address a lot of those. Like, for example, we do have a note on the plan. I mean, we could go through these every one by one, but add a note describing the existing proposed uses on the lots. It's general note number 1 right on the title cover sheet. Local permit or required permits and approval numbers, there are none. I mean, I think maybe they were thinking about DES subdivision because typically you would need that, but not for 5-acre lots, you don't. So no state subdivision required.
Let me ask you this real quick.
Go ahead.
Sometime down the road, the applicant decides to develop this piece of land into whatever the applicant.
We would come back in front of you with all these required items.
They would have to show that these items need to be in order to meet the site plan regulation, correct?
Right.
Absolutely. So obviously, if we were to come in with an additional subdivision with a number of homes, driveway locations, that's when site distance comes into play. That's when drainage, because we're adding that infrastructure, comes into play. So, you know, we're not, obviously, we'd have to do septic approvals on the lots. That would come into play.
4K area.
Of the 4K, you'd have to do test pits.
The whole 9 yards. You know, bottom line is we are trying to pick up a portion of land that's next to our land. We don't have any intention of building it. We have to draw a line on a plan. And there really isn't like a simple subdivision guideline regulation in the town of Londonderry. It's the full-blown subdivision. We're not doing it. We don't intend to develop this land, but unfortunately you have to go through this process. I was talking to Ryan earlier. You want to pick up 6 feet, and I said, get ready to spend 15 grand to change that lot line. But that's where we're at with it. You know, we just want to pick up this land to preserve it, keep it in its natural state. This is where we are.
But I do think it's important to note, as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, that we're not asking you to take the applicant's word on that, but if he were to look to develop this land, you'd be coming back with a more robust plan at that point.
So I think we've been here a couple times before with similar situations where we're just trying to get through a simple subdivision. If something is to get put on this lot down the road, it's gonna need to meet the site plan, which is when all this should really come into play to begin with. I'll let you go, Ryan.
I was just gonna say, to me, it just seems like this is like it's a legal thing. Like we're redrawing lines. Nothing's actually changing. It's literally he's just doing a nice thing, buying some land from his neighbor, taking care of himself. And sure, will his kids build on it one day? Maybe he will. Who knows? But that's a whole different process, right?
Correct.
I agree with you. I can't believe it cost him that much. Now I don't even want to buy the 6 feet of land next to me because it's not worth it.
These guys are expensive.
I know. So I just think this is one of those times where to me, the rules, I'm a rule follower, but sometimes the rules just don't make sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, John.
It's your regulations, Ryan. I'm just doing my job.
Kelly.
I know.
I just,
Yes.
if I may,
Yep.
I don't want to discredit the process entirely because the process is important.
yeah.
So just because it's not just for the people in this room, it's for anybody else that might be watching, thinking about doing something similar. So it's important that we have a survey, the data and justification behind a subdivision, the technical aspects of it, which this plan is intending to show. With respect to the checklist items, again, you've heard staff's position. This board does have the authority to go through and waive, or if you think they're not applicable, because that
Yeah.
checklist that we're talking about is within the subdivision regulations, which, as John has pointed out many times, those are your regulations. We're supplying you the information. So, again, you have the ability to utilize your discretion with that.
Correct.
A couple of things though too. Doug says that they're not proposing anything. So on sheet 1, it says they're going to be undeveloped. Sheet 2, it says, talks about 2 residential lots.
Well, it's
being proposed. So it's, you know,
One and
it's
two.
Well,
one
by
or the other.
definition, it is a lot, but
It's one or, you know, it's either undeveloped or it's going to have residential units on it.
Well, it's technically turning into 2 residential lots, no?
Correct. So that's why you need the HIS mapping and to determine. And again, we're not talking about providing HIS mapping over that entire property. So if the lot on the right, it's got 3 bedrooms, and that's all they want, they need to do enough of the HIS to prove that they can get 3 bedrooms. The same thing on the one on the left. I always suggest that people go for the gusto. You want to make sure that you have enough lot area there for 4 bedrooms, because that's what everybody's going to want anyways. So I would, you know, so it's, why aren't you going for just a lot line adjustment then? Then you don't have to do all those items.
I mean, I guess we could have done that, but this is what we did, so.
and it also would have cost the Veranis another $15,000 to survey his lot on top.
No,
of it.
Doug, because again, what, do you have a lot, is there a plan on lot of record?
No, I don't
Do
think
you
so.
honestly think you're not gonna be able to provide a HIS area on 11.5 acres of land?
Johnny, they're your regulations. Those are the
I
town's
know,
regulations.
They're not realistic, John, and you
So-
follow
so
the
I would
law-
suggest then
You follow
is-
the law by the letter of the law.
Yep.
Well, let the planning board decide.
Yeah, so I would suggest then to have them go back and the ones that they say it's not applicable, let them tell us why, tell you why.
Before I go to the public, does the board have anything? All right, open it up to the public. Come on up. How are you?
Good evening, Long night.
Yeah. This is nothing.
Oh, Michael White, 29 Page Road.
How you doing?
We're good. If Tammy and Giovanni are gonna help out the Glispins and purchase their unused land and save it for themselves, I have nothing against that. You know, he was already trying to develop the other side of Page way back when, and you guys wanted him to widen the road, and he didn't. He wanted to keep it the way it was, so he didn't even worry about selling the lands. He scrapped that project. So if he's going to come back 10, 15 years down the road and the family's going to build something there, he'll be back in front of you guys. I got nothing wrong with it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the public? Seeing none, I will close public comment. All right. Can we go through one by one on these completeness items and we can decide whether or not they're applicable or not?
I'd recommend you go through the ones that are in the memo and
Let's do it.
make
I'll
clear
let
what
you,
your consensus
I'll let you
is.
read them one by one. Perfect.
Really?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Sorry, I gotta pull it up. All right. Relating to the general note 6. This is about the minimum lot area, soil-based and providing clarity where this information is shown and including a note with required and provided lot area-based soils.
So does that pertain to your HIS mapping?
Yes.
How's the board feel? Do we think we need to have this done?
I think if we ask it for everyone, following our regulations, we probably should. It's like, why have regulations?
Well, I think the only thing I would just add is I'm not dismissing the idea of looking at that. NRCS is what DES utilizes for any size lot. Now, your regulations are more stringent and you require a HIS map to size the lotting. But when you're over 5 acres for a lot, and DES would allow that to, the smaller side, to be over 5,000 gallons, of which, a 3-bedroom house is 450 gallons, we're not even in an order of magnitude necessary to require that. And what I would say is that it's really just an undue burden on the applicant, because to have a soil scientist come out, map this area, you're looking at several $1,000s for him to walk around and probe the entire area to create a site-specific map or a HIS map that would be required. So in this case, we don't feel it's applicable because these lots are over 5 acres. It's not applicable for at the state level. It's not even remotely a question. So I guess that's why we're asking.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Regardless of what happens with this, I do think we need to look at the regulations for people that are subdividing lots with the intention not to build, because it seems like there's a lot of hoops to go through, and I understand both sides. I agree.
Yeah.
If they're going to build a house, I want all that stuff. You know what I mean? But it doesn't seem like it's like that. He's just buying from his neighbor, so. I don't know. I think we need to address that at some point.
Along those lines, wouldn't it, like John said, you could do a lot line adjustment where you don't have to go
So,
through all
let me
those.
just, to clarify, so in our definitions, we define lot line adjustment as a subdivision.
Correct.
It is a slightly different checklist, but,
Still ultimately.
so we're getting a little into,
Let me ask a question.
Weeds.
They decide to build a house,
they need to pull a building permit at a minimum.
and what would that be? They would have to show where a septic's gonna be, what the 4K area is gonna be, that it can handle it, correct?
This should have been proven when the lot was subdivided.
No, but he's asking a
Hold
question.
on, no,
The building permit won't be signed off on if
am I,
they can't prove they
am I
can
missing
build the house.
something? What we're asking for, when they do the building permit, they need to show,
You're not missing anything.
okay?
In my opinion, this type of situation is exactly what this board's for.
So, well, is the board comfortable with saying we are,
Because they're not gonna do it.
that this is not applicable at this time?
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yes?
Should never
Okay.
even have created the lot.
All right, we're through number 1. Number 2, add a note describing the existing and proposed use of both lots. I think that's probably a fair,
It's on the title sheet.
yeah, that's probably pretty fair. So let's just make sure it's in there. So we'll keep number 2. List all required permits and permit approval numbers. I don't know that you would need permits if there's nothing
There's no applicable permits.
being done. So, does the board agree number 3 not applicable?
Yes.
Add a note identifying the potential bedroom count for each lot. I would say, can you just identify the bedroom count on the lot that's got a house?
It's on note 1.
Perfect,
It's in there.
perfect. So, applicable but not applicable. They've done it where it's warranted. That makes sense? Okay. Label the drill hole or other marker found or set on the northeast corner of the stone wall on lot 31 and the marker located west of the barn on lot 31. Can you show us where that would be on the plan?
If it's not there, we'll label it.
Perfect. So we're gonna,
It's conditioned.
yeah. Provide additional detail on the existing gas line and easement on the lot. If available, specified a standard easement width as none is identified in the referenced right-of-way agreement. Do we want to condition that, or do we feel as though it's non-applicable?
Mr. Chair, I can just add, this is an unusual one. I asked my surveyor the same question. The deed of the easement has no specified width. So
It just says it's an easement.
it says they have a right to have the location of the gas line through the property. It does not provide a specified width. So that's why it's not labeled.
Board feels though it's really not applicable. 19.A, label the existing driveway on lot 31 and indicate whether it is gravel or paved.
We can add a note. It's paved.
Label the drill hole or other marker found or set the northeast corner of the stone wall on lot 31 and the marker west of the barn on lot 31. That I think should be a condition. Board agree? Label the existing driveway on lot 31. Didn't I just read all this? What's going on here?
I think they're shown twice on
right.
each plan, so they would just,
So that's gonna be a condition. The protective radius for the existing well on lot 31.
can add that.
That's a fair condition. Include sufficient HIS mapping information to demonstrate the anticipated number of bedrooms on each lot. Feel like that's not applicable. Does the board agree? Provide proof of submission of the plan to NHDES as indicated on the submitted checklist. That would be non-applicable because the one above it isn't. 3.09F2, streets, driveways, and Exhibit D2, add a potential driveway location for 1731-1. I don't feel as though that's applicable because there's nothing being built there right now. Board agree? Correct. Wetlands delineated on lot 31 appear to extend off-site onto 280 Rockingham Road, map 17, lot 45. If the wetland connects to a larger system, a 50-foot must be shown per LZO section 4.6.1 based on previously approved plans for the adjacent parcel at 280 Rockingham Road. Prepared for Evans Family Limited Partnership, dated October 1st, 2018, last revised July 28th, 2020. The adjacent wetland system exceeds 1/2 acre. Please provide documentation verifying whether the wetlands on lot 31 are hydraulically connected to this larger system. I don't think that, does anybody feel as though we need to do that? No? Hey, that's the last one.
Yeah, 31's the existing house, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already there. All right, so for Kelly, 4 conditions. I'm seeing sheet 2, numbers 1 and 3.
Yep,
Sheet 3, numbers 1, 2, and 3.
got it.
So, Mr. Chair, just as a point of clarification, I had copies of what you just went through because it was part of the staff report, but Mr. Trottier's comments that he started with at the beginning of the meeting, he had a number of comments that I don't have, and I think a lot of those would fall into that not applicable category based on what our discussion. So I don't know if we want to just.
That's all right.
Are we talking precedent conditions comments here?
So, yeah, I think, yes, the typical last precedent item is a final planning and engineering review. So if the board's looking to incorporate what specifically John spoke to earlier, you should clarify what your intent is. Or if you're just going by this memo, the
Yeah.
November 12th staff memo.
Yeah. All right, so.
So I guess just, are you looking to incorporate the additional comments?
Yeah,
or
I
just
mean,
the
I
comments
want
in
the
memo?
addition, I want the additional comments, I don't know that, I mean, what's the extent of final planning and engineering review?
They'll never satisfy my requirements, because again, I think there's a lot more checklist items that are applied to this. So just take engineering out of it. That's the simplest way to do it.
There you go.
All right. Board, have any questions? I'm gonna go through this slowly. So, and I'll make the motion for you, Mr. Rugg. I will just need you to so move it.
I'm still thinking about that.
All right, so I'm looking for a motion to grant conditional approval of a subdivision plan for 34 Page Road, map 17, lot 31, zoned AR1. Richard and Marjorie Glispin are the owner, Tammy and Giovanni Verani are the applicant, in accordance with plans prepared by the DeBay Group Incorporated dated October 2nd, 2025. And that the items from the checklist are met as a condition, which are sheet 2, boundary plan, item number 1, and item number 3. Sheet 3, topo plan, items number 1, 2, and 3. And that there is not a final engineering review on this. We just go with a planning review to verify what we've discussed with tonight.
So you
This is
might
where
wanna.
somebody says so moved.
You might want You might want to add your discussion about what happens when future development is proposed.
That's fair. And that, yeah.
That is
that's
fair.
That any future development on the potential lot would need to meet current site plan and subdivision regulations where these items would be addressed properly at the appropriate time which is with a site plan
For both lots.
for both lots.
Just, it is regarding your motion.
Because I have a motion, so.
Yes, the number 2, I think that was regarding the easement from the gas line.
That one's not included.
Okay.
Sheet 2, number 1 and 3.
Yeah,
Sheet
okay.
3,
Sorry.
1, 2, and 3.
I
All
heard
right.
2 in there.
I had a so moved.
So moved.
Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor, starting with Ryan.
Ryan Willett, aye.
Lynn Wiles, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Stephen Bickford, aye.
Jason Knight, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And that's 800, so, because Johnny has stepped down.
Correct.
Just, whoever's doing the recording of the minutes.
Correct. All right, we're on to the last one. Public hearing on the adoption of the 2027 to 32 CIP plan.
You too.
Have a good one. Thank you. Miss Karen,
Yep. Thank you,
with
Mr.
brevity.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you have a draft CIP plan for FY 27 to 32. That's the 6-year plan. As the board is probably familiar, we do this annually. The CIP committee has met their minimum of 6 times, maybe more, and provided you with their recommendations with respect to prioritization of the school and municipal projects that were submitted for this year. So the task of this board is to go through those recommendations, provide your input, and then determine whether you want to proceed with adoption of the plan itself.
All right.
And just one more item, this is an advisory document only that is provided by this board, and the intent is for it to be utilized as needed by the council and budget committee as they go through their budget process.
All right. So, Kelly, would it be fair to go to page 15?
Trying
Yep.
my best.
All right, board, let's run through these and ultimately see if we agree with these. Kelly can give us any additional information as needed. So we'll start with first project is the LEAP space needs in full day K in 3 neighborhood schools. Placement in the CIP is a priority 1. And does the board have any comments, concerns, or suggestions?
I think this has been priority one for a while.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, they've been trying for kindergarten,
So
full-time kindergarten.
high school addition and renovation, this is marked as a priority 5. Does anybody have does anybody disagree? All right, SAU project.
Priority 3.
What's up?
Did you say 5?
Yeah, but it was this
CIP
Oh,
placement. Yeah, you're
wrong
looking, yeah.
last year.
It's getting
Yep.
too late.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir. What we're here for.
Yeah, so these priorities, does that mean they get done later or sooner, or, yeah, that's basically what it means?
Scroll down.
So the priorities, depending on the number, it does have a general guideline for
Urgent, necessary, desirable, deferrable, premature, and inconsistent.
So immediate, 3-year, 4 to 6, 6-year, and then it's not ready and or it's not consistent. So yes, there are general timeframes associated with it, and you'll see in the far right column, the committee went through and provided the fiscal year within the 6-year plan that they're recommending the projects be slated for.
Okay.
Associated, and that fiscal year is associated with the time frame that's associated with the priority number.
So if we suggest one of these things to move up in priority, it doesn't mean, it's just a suggestion that doesn't actually move, right?
We
Correct.
would move it in the document.
I would, yeah.
But we all have to agree to move it.
Correct. So if you said, "Oh, let's make the high school a priority 1," the document that would be finalized out of us would say priority 1.
But they don't have to follow that.
They
Correct.
can do
This is
whatever
an-
they want.
This is an advisory document, just like, I should emphasize again, if you don't mind.
Oh,
So,
please.
advisory only, the numbers in here, the cost, sometimes there's confusion about that. Those are the best information that we have at the time of submission. Obviously, a year-to-year basis, these numbers may fluctuate. So again, advisory only document, and your task is to adopt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's basically a planning tool, so we have an idea of what the needs would probably be, but the final decision actually is made at school district meeting or town meeting. But if at some point the town decides to adopt impact fees, it needs this, because this is what's going to determine what, is the impact.
taxes, yeah.
These are the capital projects that
The
you
town
need
and
in
the
order
school would
to justify an impact fee. An impact fee requires you to have a capital project associated with it.
Thank you. Sorry.
All right. SAU. Oh,
I just had a question, the high school,
yes, sir.
wondering how it went from a 3 to a 5 in a year.
I think there's different planning occurring on the school side. And I think in the years we've had a declining school population, that is factoring in also.
I mean, I can understand the addition going from a 3 to a 5, but that renovation, that section that's gotta get rebuilt is not getting any better.
I think that was part of the reason it went to a 5 is because they didn't provide the breakout of the projects.
Yeah,
That's
And
what
so
I'm
it's-
thinking.
It's
is I
just
wonder if
considered
it can be
premature, so they want to go back and do further studies on it.
Okay.
Their focus this year was on kindergarten and on the SAU building.
It almost seems like those two would make sense to get broken out as
Yeah.
a separate.
Oh, yes.
And it's kind of the same thing with, when we get down to the grandstand and the press box for the turf field. I mean, it's the same reasons, a 3 there too as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So are we good with the high school? The SAU project is a priority 1. It was a priority 2 last year. It's a priority 1 this year. I know they're coming up on the end of their lease there.
Mm-hmm.
And does anybody have any questions? Comments?
No, they, both the council and the school board are working on it.
It's gonna get resolved.
A turf field is a priority 3.
I would disagree with that. I think it's a priority 1. We're one of the only towns around here that doesn't have it. We have the best fields, we have the most beautiful fields, but we don't have a turf field, and athletes play different on a turf field. Granted, by the time this goes in, I won't have any kids in school anymore, so it's not for me. but we should have had this 15 years ago. That's just my opinion, and I just feel like it's just going to keep getting moved and moved and moved because it's been talked about several times. There were donors at one point. I think, I don't want to name the name, but there was a couple names of companies that were supposed to donate a turf field. It never happened, and I just feel at a 3 it's never going to happen. But that's just my opinion.
Does this pair with the priority system? And this is why I just question Ryan's assertion, because if I read number 1, urgent cannot be delayed, needed immediately for health and safety.
Right, it's not health and well, you
Yeah,
could argue it's safety because I mean, you do play different on a turf field. So
Yeah, but a grass field is safer than a turf field.
Yeah.
Is it?
Easy head injuries out of the equation off the turf field.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you could argue safety with all of these, so it's a.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the numbers, 2 is a necessary is needed within 3 years to maintain basic level and quality of community services. I feel like we are at basic level.
I actually think 3 might be high, but that's just.
Needed within 4 to 6 years to improve quality or level of services.
And the 3 was also the number that was assigned by the school board and the school administrator as well.
Right, because since I moved here, we're talking about turf fields, and it just keeps moving, and that's just.
Did you ever hear about the auditorium argument?
Good thing Tony.
I donated $1,000 to that. I never got. Where'd that money go? That's what I'd like to know. That's a different story, but I want my money back.
Where's the hockey rink?
So, all right, to keep
Next to the auditorium.
to keep this thing moving, do we want to adjust that or leave it as of the school's recommendation?
Leave it as the school's.
I think the school knows best.
Grandstands,
I tried.
press box for turf field. Obviously, if the turf field's a priority 3, the accessory should be a priority 3.
Yep.
Tennis courts. This has been labeled as a priority 2. Sounds to me that it's got, well, I mean, if you go back there, you can see it. But it seems like they're getting to the point where we're no longer going to be able to maintain a basic level of community service.
I think you got some safety problems there.
Yep.
too.
Yeah, it needs work.
Open Gov.
That's.
I'm excited about that.
You want me to talk about it?
I don't know what that is.
30,000 feet, Kelly.
So OpenGov is an asset permitting software that the town has already begun engaging with. So asset management, mostly with respect to DPW, so making sure that we have the ability to track all of our drainage structures, for example, and enter data in the field utilizing this software program. From the permitting side, it's focused on the building permits, how we intake them. The software program tracks them, makes it essentially a more streamlined, efficient process. Same with the site plan and subdivision application and review processes. It's a more streamlined approach to asset and permitting, and allows us internally, and I should say externally as well, to be more transparent and have everybody see the same information at the same time. That was my really simple way of explaining that.
Sounds incredible.
It saves money. It saves money in the long run.
Yeah, no, it's going to help people a lot.
That's why I asked. That's what I thought it was. But it kind of contradicts itself on the next line.
Yeah. Well, I think it's certainly appropriate to bring us into the year 2025, where most everything is done.
And just, sorry, one more point, it's just with respect to the cost. So we just updated our fee schedules for the building permits and land use fee schedule, and the intent of doing that is to essentially cover the cost of this program so that the taxpayer is not paying for it.
Wonderful. Anybody have an issue? Nope. All right, and last but not least, the DPW facility master plan.
And Mr. Chair, this was assigned to priority 5 because the DPW is looking at coming up with a phasing program, and then each phase will be subsequently prioritized when they develop that program.
So what you're saying is Dave is comfortable with this?
So in Dave's submission form, you see the breakout of the phasing. It's just that at this stage, it was just submitted as one project, but I can attest that I've spoken directly with Dave, and he fully understands that this is a phased approach. I mean, you've seen in his presentations,
Yeah.
it is a phased approach. It's just a matter of formally putting in that way in the CIP.
I'm in that committee, so I can second that.
Yeah, it's a placeholder, so.
I would expect next year that's probably gonna go from a 5 to a 2. So,
Depending on which phase, right?
Yeah.
to put it into perspective.
It's a big number, but it's,
Is it though?
it is.
It's needed.
Yeah, the highway facilities always get neglected.
Yep, because we hide them in the woods. Because we hide them in the woods.
Yeah, it's like, you know, they're forgotten and everything until it snows, you know, and then, where are they? You know.
All right, so it sounds like we're all in agreement. Kelly, what do you need from us? A motion, well, I would like the record to show that there is nobody here from the public. So there is no public
hearing.
comment.
You can just open and close it.
I will open the public hearing. I will close the public hearing. Fantastic. All right, you want a motion to approve this thing?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Rudd?
I will make a motion that we adopt the Town of Londonderry, New Hampshire Capital Improvement Plan for fiscal year 2027 to fiscal year 2032, and to send copies to the Town Council, School Board, and Budget Committee for them to see as they see fit.
I have a motion from Mr. Rudd. Do I have a second?
I'll second that,
I have
Mr.
a
Chair.
second from Lynn. All in favor, starting with Ryan, please.
Ryan Willett, aye.
Gianni.
Hey! Starting with Giovanni.
Giovanni Verani, aye.
Ryan Willett, aye.
Lynn Wiles, aye.
Steve,
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Stephen Bickford, aye.
Jason Knight's aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative.
And,
This has been recommended to the council, and make note that Mr. Cruz has left for the
Absent,
evening.
Except for his keys.
No, those are mine.
Oh, those are yours.
That's a
Good, so happy you just put them up there. I had no idea where they
There you
were.
go.
Thank you.
With that, Kelly, you got anything else? John, you got anything else?
Mr.
Kristen, you got
Chair.
anything
Oh, yeah,
else?
Mr. Chair.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So we
Master
have
Plan Steering,
Yes,
Master Plan
Yes.
Steering Committee.
yes.
there's some vacancies.
We do have some vacancies in the master plan steering committee. Lynn, do you have any motions?
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the 2 open planning board slots on the Master Plan Steering Committee be filled by Jason Knights and Art Rugg.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, starting with Giovanni, please.
Giovanni Verani, aye.
Ryan Willett, aye.
Lynn Wiles, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Stephen Bickford, aye.
Jason Knight's aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. Godspeed, gentlemen. Do we have anything else from the board?
It's me.
Motion to
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Have a good night.